Hello, everybody. Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere in between two formerly and currently tariffed nations. My name is Brian Engelman. This here is Nimbus. And today is Thursday, February 27th, 2025. What a wild ride we find ourselves on. Today is Epstein Day. We are allegedly, according to Pam Bondi, Attorney General Pam Bondi, going to get the information we've been asking for, nay, shall I say, demanding from the government. The government. The government has been holding on to the Epstein files for years. For years. And now we're supposed to be getting the information today. We're going to talk about that story. Please hit like and hit subscribe however you're watching us. If you are not following us in all of the places, I would ask you to do so. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Rumble, YouTube, and Truth Social under The New American Media. You can find our podcast. We put the TNAM AM Show. That's what this is. Why is that showing up behind me over here? What's that side? Okay, that is showing up. That's weird. So find us under the New American Media, Facebook page, Instagram page, Rumble account, YouTube account, and Truth Social account. The Agree to Disagree show is our podcast. We'll put the TNAM AM Show under that umbrella for the Agree to Disagree show. Subscribe to that. Apple and Spotify hit our podcasts. On X, we're at American_media_. Patreon.com/the New American Media. PayPal at Fuzz Installment. Venmo at Brian Engelman. And Cash App, $ Brian Engelman, if you'd like to donate, because we are completely crowd-funded. We appreciate every one of you who has contributed to us over the years, because you kind of keep us running. Yeah, I know we could get some corporate sponsors. Yeah, I know we could take a couple of other paths, but this is the route that we've chosen at the moment. Any moment now, we're going to be getting breaking news. I don't know if it's going to be during this broadcast or after, but we have a lot of other subjects to get to regardless of what's happening on the Epstein files. So in the comments section, by the way, I got my chat overlay here. Once we populate the room with you, we want to get your conversation, your information going on today's show. So first question of the day, could you please tell us who you are and where you're at? Like give us some initials or tell us your name, like where are you watching from? And are there any important stories you want me to discuss? Of course, in the comments, if there's breaking news about the Epstein stuff, please tell me immediately and I will jump from my regular programming right over into the breaking news territory to deliver that information to you. So question, actually, I'll spell it out. Question of the day, just the first one. Give us your name or initials and tell us where you are watching from. There we go. What's up, Keith? Bam. All right, we got the comments section rocking and rolling. We are streaming on Restream. I am looking at the one thing I do need to do is I need to take the Facebook feed and make sure that I share that to the groups. So let's get things started here. What's up, Keith? Keith is asking a question right off the bat. Did they say what time the Epstein files will be released? My answer there is I am unaware of a specific time. I have no idea. Just kind of waiting to see what is shared when it's shared. I'm hoping that it happens immediately. Laura Loomer shared something, and I'll show you that first. Let me jump to that. How about this? Here, let me go to our X feed because I did just share this, and it's pretty funny. Laura Loomer crushed it. She sometimes does, and she sometimes, whoa. A net positive on the movement. I would say she's probably a net positive to the liberty movement. All right, where's my screen? Oh, okay, I got to click this over here, that dashboard. All right, let's go full screen for a second. Laura Loomer shared. There we go. Let me just scroll to hers. It was here we go. Breaking, the Epstein files have been released. Here's the list. Come on, we're all expecting this, right? This is the only way. We like think of Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Remember that bum? Oh yeah, we have all this J6 footage. It's exculpatory for they were weaponizing the Department of Justice. Can you believe it? Yeah, it's exculpatory. We have all these tens of thousands of hours. And he never released it. He withheld tens of thousands of hours. So why did he do that? Well, it's been rumored that he's in the deep state. He's not a part of the MAGA movement. The Republican movement and the MAGA movement, they are not one and the same. Republicans are the party of Bush, Cheney, Kinzinger, other Cheney, Romney, Lindsey Graham, McConnell. These are not your friends. These are not people who share your values. These are deep state operatives. And Kevin McCarthy not releasing that footage, it's shameful. It's shameful. So we're going to break down all of the things. Here, let me just type here, join our daily live show already in progress. There we go. All right, cool. That has been shared on Facebook. So we are streaming, everybody. Life is grand. Let's jump into the news. Switch over to this tab. Hello, Robin. Here, let's do the chat overlay. People are popping in fast and furious. Happy to have you. Let's see. Pied Piper saying, I hope that they follow through with the release. Yes. Shout out to Cleveland, Ohio. Look, they've painted themselves into this position. There is literally no way that they cannot release the files. I'm sorry. There's one way. The only way these files do not get released is if we suffer a nationwide, dare I say, global electromagnetic pulse that shuts down the grid right before this information is allowed to be distributed. That's the only thing that's going to stop this. Hell on earth, nothing is stopping this list from being released. There is no universe where this information doesn't come out. It's happening, people. Today's the day. Unless there's a comet that strikes the earth, or they they strategically deploy a couple of satellite nuclear devices that cast a electromagnetic pulse upon all of our electronics, rendering us helpless for the invasion, where all these 30 million military-aged men imported by Obama to turn into a invading, occupying force to stage a revolutionary war, civil war, world war event upon us. That is something I've literally been concerned about, because I just play a game. This is as easy as it can get for me to describe to you where I'm coming from, who I am, and what makes me tick. I play a game, and it's super easy to follow. It's called If I Were a Bad Guy. So if I were a bad guy, I know what I would do. Zap. EMP would be my number when I'm ready to go. If I want all the sleeper cells who have been strategically placed by Barack Hussein Obama through Joe Biden, his puppet, Victoria Nuland, and George Soros and the Tides Foundation, and all the Marxists and the Leninists who have infiltrated and invaded our country, a sovereign nation ready to take it over. If I were a bad guy, I would flip the switch. I'd say, hey, Feb 27, noon, we ride. Click. If I were a bad guy, that's what I would do. So I just play that game. Like, what is the worst possible? Oh, Brian, you're being, come on. What are you even talking about? Like, well, I'm talking about what's on the table for anybody to do if they want to be a super bad guy. So, yeah. I know, Keith, you and I have had conversations about that. I wouldn't rule out an EMP attack, but that's literally the only thing. The only thing that's going to stop this is an EMP attack. I mean, Mossad, CIA, whichever deep state splinter cell organizations put Diddy and Epstein up to what they were doing. By the way, they're not the only ones. They're the only ones that you know about as of now. You know, I was at a political event, and I did have a suspicion that there may have been a potential honeypot situation that I had to navigate. Don't feel like telling that story right now, but also living in Los Angeles. Oh, I heard of parties. I was invited to an island. I've been around some of these things, and luckily I've avoided these potential pitfalls. You know, glory be to God for keeping me out of these situations. Of course, some of them I used discernment. Other ones I was very cautiously skeptical of. Others, there were acts of God that kind of intervened in things that I didn't really think were a thing. And then in hindsight, I go, wow, I'm sort of glad I didn't attend that thing. You know, just an innocuous one party is the same as another. One trip is the same as another. I don't know. But in hindsight, knowing what I know now, oh, yeah. Hey, Frankie Brown, Bowling Green, Kentucky, checking in. All right, so we got Kentucky, we got Ohio, we got Florida. We are all over here on the eastern seaboard. Maybe our West Coasters aren't quite awake yet. Thanks for checking in, Frankie. Always love to have you here. Robin McBride, what's up? Saying, I've heard the Epstein files will be released around noon. I'm also seeing evidence of Miss Bondi backpedaling. So I think we'll all be disappointed with what we get as usual. Well, look, like I said, this is the expectation, according to Laura Loomer. Here's the Epstein files. They've been released today. Here they are. Everything redacted. Yeah, that's basically what Kevin McCarthy gave us with the J6 footage at the White House. You know, what we got was a very minimal amount of stuff. Okay, let's jump into the news because I feel like my Instagram feed is already refreshed and I might have lost access to some of those stories because I think they time out after 12 hours. 24 hours, rather. Okay, here we go. Oh, I'm not sharing that screen. My kingdom for a producer, I tells you. Okay, good. There we are. All right. Our comment was that this is intentional. Biden and his team must be held accountable. This is President Trump answering questions with Pete Hegseth about Joe Biden's disaster. Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about Gene Hackman. You heard the Gene Hackman story? Legendary actor. He was found dead. Was it Santa Fe they found him? Okay. No foul play. No foul play. Not anticipated, not expected. Presumed. But they also found his wife and his dog dead. So it's a death and suicide thing? Was this a triple suicide thing? Was this a... What's going on here? But Gene Hackman was a fantastic actor. Definitely a big fan. All right, here is President Trump discussing Afghanistan. At the first cabinet meeting, it says.
Afghanistan.
Volume. I turned the volume up. Okay, here we are.
And the botched withdrawal. Have all the generals or command staff that were involved with the withdrawal been fired or relieved of duty?
Well, that's a great idea. I'm not going to tell this man what to do, but I will say that If I had his place, I'd fire every single one of them, Pete. That's a very good question.
Well, it's a question we've thought a lot about. We're doing a complete review of every single aspect of what happened with the botched withdrawal of Afghanistan and plan to have full accountability. It's one of the first things we announced at the Defense Department for that reason, sir. Certainly, General Raisin Kane, who's on his way in, was not a part of that. Instead, was a part of leading the effort against ISIS by untying the hands of warfighters and finishing the job properly and then bringing our troops home. So we're taking a very different view, obviously, than the previous administration, and there will be full accountability.
I don't see big promotions in that group, and I think they're going to be largely gone. I know the man on my left. I think they're going to be largely gone. That was a horrible.
It was horrible, and we said the botched withdrawal wasn't botched. This was the plan. Biden, with his Obama doctrine puppet masters, wanted to hand the bad guys that base and those weapons of war. Pure treason, people. Don't attribute to the enemy something accidental that could just as easily be intentional. This is what I keep saying about Wuhan, the COVID-19 release. Why attribute that this was a lab leak? Call it an intentional release. The standard operating procedure should be you unleashed hell on the world intentionally. You need to prove me wrong, since you've been lying about the origin of this the whole time, since you've been collecting royalty checks on all of this the whole time, since you've been blocking therapeutic options to treat COVID, such as monoclonal antibodies, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine from the start, so you could keep your emergency use authorization blanket liability protections. You could have easily just passed a bill and said, under this unique circumstance, we're going to make a one-time exception that if there are therapeutics, those therapeutics can run at the same time while we're unleashing this mRNA, lightly tested experimental treatment that some call a vaccine and some not call. But they didn't. They wanted 100% of the people to be forced to buy that product, forced to purchase that product. Ramifications be damned, side effects be damned, efficacy of all the other therapeutic options be damned, and really my family be damned. My brother was, they withheld monoclonal antibodies at a time that he might have had that strain that would have definitely benefited from monoclonal antibodies. But Biden seized control of this country in what I consider to be a coup. Time magazine says they fortified the 2020 election. They couldn't help from bragging about how they rigged it. For 6 ways from Sunday, as Chuck Schumer would say, the deep state made sure that Biden seized control of this nation in what I consider to be a coup. And shortly after, banned monoclonal antibodies. So my brother's doctor couldn't find out where they were. He was scared to prescribe them. They were 6 miles down the road. Could have saved his life. He's in a box now. 3 years now, he's been in a box instead of with his family. So the real world ramifications of what Joe Biden has done from Afghanistan to COVID, it is immeasurable, the amount of carnage, suffering, and just demonic butterfly effect from Joe Biden giving Barack Hussein Obama a third shadow government term from his basement so that he could fundamentally transform the United States of America. So never attribute to accident what could easily be attributed to as an intentional malevolent act. Don't give them the benefit of the doubt. There's a great question, BP. Thank you. My mind jumps to, suicide pact. It's like, oh, the love of my life is gone. Nothing else can, I can't go on. I'm taking my dog with me. It's like the Egyptian pharaohs. They'll be buried like with their servants or with their dogs or, oh, his loyal companion. Yep, we had to kill him and put him in the box too. It's like, why not let him live his days out? Okay, carbon monoxide, BP. That is an excellent hypothesis for Gene Hackman. That is an excellent hypothesis. I always go to like the nefarious, as evidenced by what I was just saying about Wuhan and Afghanistan. These weren't accidents. Oh, it was such a sloppy. They're just not good at their job. I don't know. They were trying to evacuate Afghanistan, but it went sideways. It's like, no, there's an order to which you evacuate all the things. And at the very end, you fly all of you drive your tanks and your MRAPs away as the very last thing. Everyone inside has been safely evacuated. You fly your planes, you take your land vehicles, and then you leave an empty building if you're going to leave it to the peacekeeping forces or the new government in Afghanistan, so they can run their own airport and that can be their own base moving forward. No, there's an obvious way to do that. The way Obama through Biden did that was intentionally so that they could allow those weapons to get in the hands of the bad guys. The amount of those weapons that have ended up in the hands of the southern American border drug cartels of northern Mexico, those reports are coming in on the daily basis. Reports that the Ukraine weapons, the munitions, the funding that was supposed to go over there, $100 billion with a B dollars of that is missing, and that is turning up on America's southern border with the drug cartels from northern Mexico as well. I attribute 100% malevolent intent from Barack Hussein Obama, from Valerie Jarrett, from Victoria Nuland, from Liz Cheney, from Mitch McConnell, like Nancy Pelosi. We could go down the list. Hillary Clinton, selling this country out to the highest bidder. They don't give a damn about America, American exceptionalism, American sovereignty. They want what's good for their pocketbook. They're playing with the enemy, which is called treason. And Lord willing, we're going to actually get some justice in this world for those things. But yeah, BP, question of the day. Where are you calling from? Where are you watching today's show from? I'd love to hear where everyone's at. We got Kentucky represented, Ohio represented, Florida represented. Great prognostication there that maybe carbon monoxide could be behind the Gene Hackman thing. Sadly, was this intentional or was this accidental? I don't know. We're trying to unpack it. All right, let's get to this story. It's cutting off a little bit of it. No, it's fine. I think it's showing the borders. This here is Vice President J.D. Vance talking to the media and calling them out because for 9 years, the deep state military industrial complex, CIA, Mossad, whatever intelligence agency traders have been involved with this Russian collusion hoax. It's nonstop. The media saying that Trump is colluding with Russia. Trump is a Putin puppet. There's a P-tape. You got to impeach Trump because he's calling out the Biden corruption in Ukraine. What? Here's J.D. Vance's take. This is shared from One America News.
Look, as the president said, we're not going to do the negotiation in public with the American media. He's going to do it in private with the president of Russia, with the president of Ukraine, and with other leaders. And I think that's how this has to go. I think I just want to push back against some of the criticism.
By the way, let me add a point there. That's a massively important part of the story. Allegedly, Volodymyr Zelensky is going to be traveling to the White House I think it's to announce that a peace agreement has been brokered with Donald Trump and Zelensky and Putin, I believe. Various reports have come out. What have we heard? Here's the rumors. Here's the alleged Tulsa. We got Oklahoma in the house. What's up? Still waiting to hear from Alan. He's Iowa in the house. All right, Oklahoma in the house. Thanks, BP. Everyone out there watching, please hit like, please hit subscribe. If the Epstein list drops during this transmission, please tell me. I will pivot and we will get to it. Yeah, I don't want to hold my breath and just keep waiting all day. I'll do a second show if possible. But yeah, anyone out there watching, hit like, hit subscribe, link up with us, try to share our content, the New American Media. We appreciate it. But the details, what I've heard. How dare you? You're a news agency and you're reporting what you heard. Is that verified? Did Snopes agree with that? Did the deep state tell you that that's okay? Are you allowed to say that? Like the the Pulitzer Prize. They repeated all bunch of lies, propaganda to harm and smear Donald Trump. They get a Pulitzer Prize for fake news reporting. What universe are we living in where they haven't had to give that back and issue a retraction? I went to a buddy's house and he had a Pulitzer Prize, blah, blah, blah. What was it? It was a Pulitzer Prize photograph book, like one of those nice coffee table books or something. I'm like, oh, hey, remember when the Pulitzer Prize used to be esteemed? I can't. I don't remember. Pepperidge Farm remembers. I'm not old enough to remember. But really, once an agency goes out of its way to show you they are intentionally deceptive, I'm done. I'm done with you. I might occasionally flip back just to hear what opposite day is saying. Oh, well, if these known lying propagandists are pushing this narrative, the opposite must be true. Now, that might work 80% of the time, 75% of the time, 95% of the time. It's not a foolproof diagnostic tool, but if you don't know, if you're not up to snuff on an issue, just check in on see what CNN and MSNBC are pushing and go, oh, well, if the deep state wants us to believe, because they're not media outlets, they're deep state propaganda outlets. Well, if that's what the media, if that's what the lying legacy media wants us to hear, then obviously the good guys are on the opposite side of that story. But here at the New American Media, I mean, we shared something as a tweet quote yesterday. Entire site. It was about an allegation that Barack Hussein Obama has been receiving $2 million in royalties from Obamacare ever since 2008 or 2009 or something. We shared that, and I think the comment we said, wait, what? Question mark, exclamation, question mark, exclamation. And I was talking to a friend about it, and it's like, well, if you share this stuff as fact, and it's like trying to make the movement look bad, I'm like, well, yeah, whatever. But my initial reaction was like, this can't be true. And then later in the day, a couple hours later, community notes on X were like, this was shared from a known satire site. And then I clicked on it, and it said that Snopes had, I go, well, look, Snopes is not something I trust. I don't trust them. But if it's satire, maybe it should say satire. I'm actually kind of okay with a satire site or a satire account where it's a parody account of Marjorie Taylor Greene or it's a parody account of Doge. I almost feel like if you're going to pseudo represent yourself at a quick glance, you see DOGE, you see the blue check mark, you feel like I might have the official account here, and you reshare it. I feel like maybe there should be like a green box around parody accounts so you can quickly ID. Oh no, that's not actually the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson's account. That's a parody account with a Mike Johnson image and the check mark. And you go, oh, okay, I thought I was looking at something verified, but it's not. Or even like an onion logo. Oh no, I did the okay sign. Somebody's going to screen grab that and turn me into something I'm not. Derp. But even putting like a logo of an onion in the bottom right or bottom left corner, maybe show some kudos to the parody site, The Onion, and just say this is a parody account. You flag them with a onion stamp, and you go, oh, that's parody. Onion equals parody. Okay. But in the course of having the conversation of determining that the Obama royalty through Obamacare kickback scheme is fraudulent, it's probably a good idea that we educate the people on our feed that, like, hey, we shared this thing. It didn't seem real. Like, what? And look at the community notes. It looks like this was a parody. Don't go repeating this as, hey, did you know that Obama's making $2 million every year off Obamacare? Screw that guy. Because look, we have a million reasons to legitimately loathe the traitor Barack Hussein Obama. We don't need to invent fake ones and let it muddy the waters. They, whoever they are, the deep state, they're experts at misinformation and disinformation. And so if you're sharing things and purporting stories that are false, it's used as a way to say, that guy, did you hear what he said about Sandy Hook? Can you believe that he believed that story? And it's this moniker that follows you forever, like a stink cloud, like in the cartoon Peanuts with Linus. I think it's Linus. Was that him? Pigpen. It was Pigpen. You got the squiggly lines around you. Oh, that guy? Remember he shared that thing from Laura Loomer and he thought that was news? Squiggly lines forever. But here's the difference. Somebody can get a story wrong. Somebody could share something that's not accurate. Someone can share a story that's not accurate going, what? Because I'm seeing a thing. This doesn't seem real. I'm calling upon the wisdom of the audience to guide me on the information of what the hell are we even looking at? So I think it's in the conversation that we learn important lessons. I don't think everything needs to be vetted. I think we just need to talk about what people are talking about and try to hedge it appropriately. So let me try to hedge this appropriately. What I have heard about Afghanistan, what I've heard about Ukraine, Russia, Trump, Zelensky, Putin, several terms have been agreed upon. And remember, it was reported that there was a rare earth mineral deposit agreement reached with Trump and Zelensky. Apparently, according to Marco Rubio and a few others, Trump himself, Carolyn Levitt, there were a lot of people speaking out in various ways, but the general gist being, hey, hold on a second. This was agreed to by Zelensky. Now he's going back to his people saying, I never agreed to this. Hell no. That's no good. But what you're getting into with this story here with J.D. Vance, he's saying, hold on a second. We're not going to negotiate this in public. You have no idea what has been agreed to behind the scenes. Don't report on these things as fact when you don't know them to be fact. So the things that we've heard that may be accurate and may not be accurate, we're only going to know once a final deal is reached, if/when that is announced. Here's what we heard. That was a lot to say. Here's what we heard. Russia has agreed to an aluminum deal, 200 million, 200 billion, 200 trillion, 200 something, that a whole bunch of aluminum can now come to the United States as part of a business deal. The aluminum market has been fluctuating wildly, according to some. I'm not entirely certain if that's accurate or not, but that's what I'm hearing. And this deal with Russia is going to link the United States with Russia in a pretty solid trade partnership. And as Scott Adams pointed out, you want to talk about the art of the deal, the art of negotiating a ceasefire to a stupid war. Well, what if you link these people together with trade deals? Make them energy partners, make them rare earth partners, make them precious metals or, aluminum, not precious, but it's a, industrial use needed partners. So if there's a conflict in the future, you go, hey, all of our business arrangements suffer and we could terminate these instantly if something else comes up in the future. You don't want to jeopardize a really good business deal that you have, do you? And so I think that is going to be part of the process that President Trump and Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance and anybody else involved in the negotiations, I think they're going to use business partnerships to link us together and say, hey, we might not want to let this escalate. Like, let's think bigger picture here. We're on the same team for some stuff. Let's focus on that. We don't want to we don't want to scramble some eggs that can't be undone. And there's people out there that say, I can't believe Trump is negotiating against Zelensky and they're not a unified front. Look, Zelensky's the puppet. Zelensky's always been the puppet. Zelensky has been, unfortunately, he made the grave, fatal error of believing a Democrat. Tip of the day, never believe what a Democrat's going to tell you. A deep state Democrat is going to tell you. Most of that party is just completely deep state. You get a couple of quasi-defectors. It's so weird because the Republican Party is mainly, maybe not mainly, but sort of mainly, consisting of former Democrats who defected from their level of crazy, jumped ship and said, hey, I want to join the Republicans. And Trump's like, hold on, the Republicans, they have their own problems. Let's join a little thing I call MAGA, Make America Great Again. And so MAGA had to defeat the deep state rhinos pretending to be Republicans who were in opposition to the deep state. Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, Mitt Romney, these people, they are deep state Democrats. They're just in sheep's clothing, pretending. They're wolves in sheep's clothing. So, yeah, disaffected Democrats like Tulsi Gabbard, who ended the political career of Kamala Harris in those primaries, she jumped ship. Now she's director of national intelligence. Bobby Kennedy should have won the primary last year, but they had to rig it. They had to keep Biden in there to get their plan was keep Biden in as the puppet. Then let's do a quick early debate to show he's too feeble-minded. We're gonna install Kamala Harris that not a single primary voter has ever supported. Bobby Kennedy had every right to run that Democrat Party and restore some common sense there. Just on the health stuff, not the energy and the Second Amendment, some of the other goofy shit. But they had to defect from that Democrat Party because it's so rigged. And they have teamed up with MAGA, which is Trump, President Trump, a former Democrat from New York, had to leave the crazy and join the Republicans to take over the Republicans and create a new MAGA party. As far as I'm concerned, there is no Republican Party. There's a MAGA party. And if you're still a never Trumper, you're a deep state. You're a deep state operative. It's really, really that simple. Frankie's saying partners may become friends. Yeah, I mean, look, you link up, and it makes it a little easier to avoid a big blowout conflict. And it's like, hey, hold on, we're business. We look, we might not see eye to eye on some things, but like, look, we can still be civil. We can disagree, but we don't have to be disagreeable. Hold on. So I think there is a method to the madness of what's going on. I think it's sort of brilliant, potentially brilliant. The other thing I've heard, in addition to Russia supplying the United States with a stable supply of aluminum, heard that Ukraine will be entering an agreement with the United States to provide 50% of the profits from rare earth mining and 50% of the rare earth materials themselves, rather, probably is what it is. We don't need the profits. We need the materials. You see China getting into Africa all over to get those rare earth minerals. And it's like, hold on, we need to make our own deal with somebody so we can get this stuff. Because as COVID taught us, we need to be manufacturing the most important shit that we need in our own country. Pharmaceuticals, transformers for the power grid, should an EMP occur. The transformer, the inability to produce transformers is a big deal. And the lack of purchasing them, building them in advance, and storing them in an EM-proof area in case of emergency. These are cans that have been kicked down the road for far too long. And honestly, I've actually reached a new opinion. I've been hashing this out for a couple of days. I am now going to support what Thomas Massey would say bloated spending. He's a no on the budget bill. I think there are some things like EMP preparation, border wall construction, Iron Dome deployment to protect this nation at every one of our borders, all around the perimeter. I am okay at this stage to now say Trump has done enough to cut a ton, keep cutting more, but I think we need to give Trump some money to do a couple things with. Keep cutting as much as we can. I don't want to see that $300 billion a year is going to be added to the national deficit. We should be dropping that. But given what Trump is up against, I don't want his war chest to be empty. There's things he will need to purchase, programs that will need to be implemented. And I will now, because I'm thinking about my time as president, vice president with the Homeowners Association. When I got there, our monthly dues were peanuts, which was fine because, like, I don't want to waste money on HOA dues. But when I got on the board, I only joined the board because I called to complain. I'm like, why is there a dead bush out front? Why is the paint bubbling and peeling off the stucco at the 4 feet up on the building? Why is the sprinkler spraying the building that's leading to the thing? Why is the sprinkler broken on the other side? And it's that patch of grass is brown. This patch of grass is shooting water onto the buildings, causing the paint to fail. This whole planter bed, it's dead plants the cats are using as a litter box. The gutter downspouts disconnected up there. What the hell's going on? Who's in charge of looking at buildings and bringing a vendor out to repair this shit? When I got there, I figured out that the lack of repairs, there was neglect, there was incompetence, there was just the soft bigotry of low expectations. And I immediately went to work. I go, we got to fix that. They go, well, it's not in our budget. I go, then put it in our budget. They go, well, our budget is razor thin. I said, then raise the budget. Oh, well, there's a lot of people in this community and a lot of elderly and people on Section 8. I go, yeah, that's great. I'm not trying to do anything punitive. I'm saying our buildings haven't been painted in 20 years. I'm saying that downspout's hanging off the building. A piece of fascia has fallen off a huge wooden post pillar from going up 2 stories, attaching to the overhang of the roof. It's ripped loose. It's going to fall and it could seriously injure or worse somebody. There's health and safety issues. There's huge potholes in the driveways. There's no lighting at the back of the buildings, and there have been thefts and attacks we need to properly, safely light around our buildings. So what did we do? We had to increase our budget. In the course of 2, 3, 4 years, we doubled our dues. And you know what we did? We reinvested all of that right back into all of the deferred maintenance projects that were sitting there as eyesores and health and safety issues for the community. And we painted 24 of those 25 buildings on my watch. We fixed every roofing issue as it was needed. As soon as there was one little leak, the entire roof was taken off. It was at the point I said, okay, well, building 17 is having a roofing issue. Gotcha. When's the last time that roof was repaired? Who was the vendor? I don't know. I'm sorry, what? I don't know. I don't know. You're a management company. You've had this complex for how many decades? Okay. Oh my God. Okay. Are you kidding me? That's what's happening at the Social Security Administration right now. You have 60 million more people than citizens that are collecting Social Security checks? I'm sorry, what? You have 2 people that are older than the inception of the United States. They're older than 249 years old. What? How many more than 100-year-old people do we have? What? Okay. So, well, just take the, all right, let me do that. Let me ask a different way. Social Security Administration, pull up a list, run through your algorithm and show me the duplicate entries. We don't have a way to identify duplicate Social Security numbers in here. I'm sorry. You built a system that can't even identify when a number has been used more than once in your system? Nope. Oh my God. So you designed this to be intentionally deceptive, or you've been completely incompetent? Which one is it? And I've been asking that question of Barack Hussein Obama for 16 years now. Is he incompetent or intentionally deceptive and malevolent? Deceptive, malevolent. He's not incompetent. He is a fool, and he is getting exposed, and he is going to face justice soon. But he's not a fool. It was designed that way intentionally. If you can obscure things, then you can loot things. You can steal things. It's everywhere. Man, all these numbers. Was it $3.7 trillion that the Treasury had no memo? There was no memo code for that HOA. Every budget expenditure, and I had to do 15 of these budget expenditures, battles, to try to allocate some for landscaping, some for security patrol. And it was always take from here, give from there. No, we need to raise it so we can do both. You know, should I be able to use my right arm or my left arm today? Can we use both arms? Like, it would be helpful to carry a bowl of soup because it's too hot to carry. Like, you got to kind of touch it at the edges or else it'll burn your hand on the flat surface. I had to carry hot soup yesterday, so I don't know if that analogy is landing for you, but it's landing for me. And $4.7 trillion, $3.7 trillion had no code to say this is for plumbing, this is for gutters and downspouts, this is for roofing, this is for landscape, this is for driveways, this is for security patrol, this is for laundry rooms, this is for nothing. When I came into that homeowners association, I had to say, look, we are now creating, we're going to call it the building matrix document, the building matrix. I want categories for all of our 25 buildings. And in this line item, we are now putting, when was the plumbing for the entire building upgraded? Because we had deteriorating plumbing, all the pipes had sealed closed, that barely a pinhole needle of pressure was coming through. The couplers that they used, connecting not galvanized to, how does that work? You need a brass coupler to connect copper with galvanized. And if you don't, then it'll cause electrolysis and corrode at the connection points. So there were a lot of buildings we had to just say, look, this is common area plumbing. It's up and underneath the buildings. Yeah, but it only feeds that. You know, we had to battle. No, the homeowner should pay for their own plumbing. It's like, it's building plumbing. The homeowner should pay for any plumbing once it hits their wall and goes to their fixture. That's on them. But the stuff in the building, that's building stuff. We should take care of that. And that was a big legal interpretation. I'm saying all this to say that you have to figure out where everything's going. You have to budget appropriately. So then every building had a code, and you could look up building 4. Oh, okay, this one was painted back in 2016. Got it. Who was the vendor? All right, that's the vendor. Got it. 2016. What was their warranty again? They're 5 to 10 years. Okay, so they're a 10-year vendor. 2016. You know what? We're having some bubbling of the stucco on the east end of that building. That vendor guaranteed us a 10-year. If we have an issue, we'll come out, we'll repatch, and we'll repaint that side, the full side of the building, so you don't see the patch. By the way, what color scheme was used? I don't know. I don't know what vendor you. No. This is Sherwin-Williams. The brown is paint number 3515. Okay, the beige used on the fascia, that's 1131. Sherwin-Williams, this brand of paint, this style of paint. So if you have to touch things up, you have a matrix. You have a basic cheat sheet to catch you up to speed. Okay, building 4, that's the Sherwin-Williams brand. You know what, we're having an issue, but they're still 2 years under their warranty. Call them up. They'll come out and fix it for free because they want to paint our next building. That's why you keep reoccurring partnership with your vendors. Frankie, that's kind of what you were saying. You know, you get one vendor to come in and do a roof, and then they're gone. You're like, I don't know. Are they even still in business? But if you keep an ongoing relationship, obviously you have to price out 3 competitive bids, compare them apples to apples, make sure the scope of work is the same, that they're using the same product, because you can get wildly different prices if you're using shit materials and a scope of work that doesn't include replacing all the vents and handling the fascia. No. This was just for the stucco. Nope. All that other stuff's extra. If you want us to get by there, then we're going to have to apples to apples. And then in the partnership, like you said, partners become friends. You build a relationship, and if there's any issue, they'll come back and fix it under a warranty because they want the next piece of work. That's what the vendors want, reliable work. Boards of directors want reliable vendors. Management wants accountability, and you need a matrix. You need information to exist. Yeah, that matrix is one of the most important things I created over there. I took over a sinking ship. We were almost bankrupt when the housing crash happened. Remember Bush into Obama and the housing crash? That HOA was on the verge of bankruptcy, and we turned everything around. I feel very content. Not everything went my way. There was a lot of unnecessary drama and BS. I vowed I would never be a part of a homeowners association again. It took a lot out of me, but I gave a lot to it, and I think I left a residual energy of give a shit in that neighborhood that really didn't exist before. A lot of Section 8, a lot of people phoning it in, just cash the check, throw somebody in a unit. We don't care. Do whatever you want. I don't care. Throw your trash around. We don't care. Paint the building, fix the building. I don't care. Mailboxes, all the keys were broken off. You couldn't even access the keys. Everything's popped wide open. People are stealing packages. People are stealing mail right out of your mailbox. Yeah, I remember we did a big project to replace and rekey every mailbox in the property. 2 4-unit or 5 or 6 unit mailboxes per building times 25 bill. I mean, year after year, it was just like a triage of trying to figure out, what do we fix next? We can't do it all, but what's the most urgent thing? What do we do next? What's next? And this government has been designed to be intentionally deceptive, so we don't know how to fix things. We can't get a grip of our budget. Our budget's leaking through our fingertips and going to the bad guys that are coming back and destroying our buildings while we're not looking. So if they can say, hey, by the way, I'd like to offer a proposal to rebuild that thing that I just broke. That's what the NGOs are doing. We're breaking immigration. So, oh, by the way, we want some money so that we can fix the thing that we were participating in. What? Oh, we're participating in funding this proxy war against Russia. Hey, now we want our contractors, our defense contractors, to make sure that we get to rebuild that area now that we destroyed it, now that we pushed for it through our Zelensky puppet. You're going, what are we doing? Afghanistan. What was the story of Afghanistan? Yeah, we want to make sure that all of the bad guys get all of the billions of dollars of American weaponry. What? So you want us to pay for all this stuff, and set up a government to try to take out these bad guys, and then you turn around and give all of our stuff to the bad guys. Am I losing my mind here? So these are the perspectives that I'm bringing to the table, having had experience in some of these realms. If you haven't had experience in these realms, number one, I'll applaud you. I will say congratulations. It's a struggle trying to work with 4 other board of directors members, management companies, vendors, homeowners, City of LA Housing Authority. I mean, it was a non-stop Rubik's Cube of trying to figure out how to make any of this stuff work. But we did. And Trump and Doge, they're trying to make things work. And all of that was just to say the things that we're hearing. The aluminum deal from Russia, mineral rights deal with Ukraine. But then I believe Trump said, not just mineral rights, there's more. But he says that the other countries in Europe, they said, oh, no, we're going to give you money as a loan. And Joe Biden says, no, we're just going to give you money? Hell no. Don't think you're getting out of here scot-free. You got in bed with the mafia. You owe us a couple of favors. And then we're done, right? We're done, right? No, you're never done once you get in bed with the mafia. You never get out. You're never caught up. You're never paid back. Which is why you don't want the cartel smuggling tens of millions of people in, because now they always owe the mob a favor. What does that look like? Sleeper cells, crime rings, sex trafficking, human trafficking, theft, vandalism, hit squads, coups, color revolutions inside of the United States. You know, sleeper cells getting ready to activate as soon as they get the go ahead. So there's a lot going on with the mineral rights plus. So it sounds like mineral rights plus. And JD Vance here is just telling, like, we're not negotiating this in public. So that's number one. That's what he's saying here. But he says, but number two,
I've seen in the administration on this, because every single time the president engages in diplomacy, you guys preemptively accuse him of conceding to Russia. He hasn't conceded anything to anyone. He's doing the job of a diplomat, and he is, of course, the diplomat in chief as the president of the United States. I mean, look, as the president said, we're not going to do the negotiation in public with the American media. He's going to do it in private with the president of Russia, with the president of Ukraine, and with other leaders.
There you go. And our comment was, it's time to stop watching any media who have been pushing fake Russian collusion stories about Trump. It really is unforgivable at this stage. Check this out. You want to say the reason why you should never watch CNN? Let's take a look here. Jake Tapper himself talking to Laura Trump. Listen to this.
How do you think it makes little kids with stutters feel when they see you make a comment like that?
Did you catch what he did there? He was talking about Joe Biden's obvious cognitive decline that we saw before he was installed in the first coup to remove President Trump in 2016. 2020. Jake Tapper, trying to pretend he's a news guy, framing this as, so now that you're making fun of little kids with stutters, how does that make you feel? Joe Biden just has a stutter. What would you say to little kids who also have a stutter? Now, would you make fun of them too? This is the level of monstrosity the media has been foisting upon people for far too long. Did you hear him say that?
First and foremost, I had no idea that Joe Biden ever suffered from a stutter. I think what we see on stage with Joe Biden, Jake, is very clearly a cognitive decline.
Okay.
That's what I'm referring to. It makes me uncomfortable.
You have
to
no
watch somebody on stage
this is so amazing. It's so amazing to me that
try and figure out an answer.
A cognitive decline.
Well, when you're trying to tell me that what I was suggesting was
I think that you were mocking his stutter. Yeah, I think you were mocking his stutter, and I think you have absolutely no standing to diagnose somebody's cognitive decline. I would think that somebody in the Trump family would be more sensitive to people who do not have medical licenses. diagnosing politicians from afar. Plenty of people have diagnosed your father from afar, and I'm sure it offends you. Your father-in-law from afar. I'm sure it offends you. You don't have any standing to say.
I'm not diagnosing him. What I'm saying, Jake,
you just talked
is
about
that
a cognitive decline.
That Joe Biden
I have one last
struggling
question for you, Laura. You can't
times on stage, and it's very concerning to a lot of people that this could be the leader of the free world.
Okay.
That is all I'm saying. I genuinely feel
Laura
sorry
Trump.
for Joe Biden.
I appreciate it. I'm sure. How do you think it makes little kids with stutters feel when they see you make a comment like that?
We said we don't hate the lying legacy media like CNN nearly enough, because if you click on there, let me switch to this other tab to get you a better look. Did we shift? Yeah, here's his book. Check this out. Jake Tapper wrote a book called Original Sin: President Biden's Decline, Its Cover-Up, and His Disastrous Choice to Run Again. You catching that? He wanted to malign Laura Trump. Like, oh, you're going to make fun of a retarded kid? Or you're going to make fun of Joe Biden because he's got a stutter? What's wrong with you, lady? Jeez. Jake the Snake Tapper. There you go. That is perfect, Kenneth. Jake Crapper's funnier. But look at this book. Original Sin: President Biden's Decline, Its Cover-Up, and the Disastrous Choice to Run Again, by Jake Tapper. Lying and maligning Laura Trump. Buddy, I'm broadcasting. What's up? My cat is yelling at me. He wants to talk. Thanks, bud. Now he's leaving. I don't know. So she maligns Laura Trump. How dare you make fun of a man with his stutter? You should only punch up, not punch down. Then he writes a book about Biden's shocking decline and the disastrous decision to have him run again. I mean, it is shocking. But maybe it's not shocking. It's exactly what you would expect from CNN and their fake news. All right, let's go to the next story. Do you hear my cat? We'll jump up. Come on. Come on. There you go. There you go. By the way, today would be a good day to adopt a shelter cat. They make good buddies. You can literally save their lives. So I encourage you to consider doing that. All right, next story. Here is I am Quishak. Talking about Joy Reid. Remember that lady from MSNBC who's been terminated now? Are we happy about it?
Remember when Joy Reid said this?
Yeah, the question I'm asking is, what is the expertise that you have and other Moms for Liberty advocates have to decide that a book, an award-winning book like All Boys Aren't Blue, isn't appropriate for students to read? What is your expertise?
What a tragic story of a young man who's anal raped by his adult family member. So you have incest, rape, pedophilia. In what context is a strap-on acceptable for public school? That's my question to you. Tell me what the context around the strap-on or the rape of a minor child by a teacher.
Hold on a second.
You're asking me to remember the name of an author.
You
the
just
name of the
remembered
author
very
doesn't
specific names.
Joy.
Here's my question.
We're talking about
Here's my
strap.
question.
You didn't answer my question.
No. What I'm saying to you is that as you are not an expert in this book,
I don't have to be an expert to know that those aren't appropriate for public school. I mean, come on, let's get real.
This book is a full context story, as you said, of the author's experience. Why is it your right or a Moms for Liberty activist's right to say that a parent who wants their child to have access to this book, which gives a...
They must have access to this book about these topics. They must. That's it. Oh, they want access. Go buy a book. It's on Amazon. $10, $20.
Personal experience of...
Oh my God, they had a personal experience. It's inappropriate. It's inappropriate for that age range. It's inappropriate. Look, Keith, I take in the neighborhood cats too. That's where we got Mr. Bean from. Right, buddy? That's where Mr. Bean came from, and that's where Nimbus came from the mean streets of LA. Rescued from the mean streets of LA.
This author.
Their experience of this, it's inappropriate. Maybe in high school, fine. You can do it in college. You're 18. Do whatever you want in college. If you want to pay 20 to 100 grand, 200 grand a year to listen to that crap. If you think that's an education, do whatever you want when you're an adult. This is not elementary school. I think that this is elementary school. I don't even know that this is appropriate for high school, honestly. Something like this for college, fine.
Why doesn't a liberal parent, for instance, or a parent of an LGBTQ kid, why don't they have a right for their child to just have access to this book? Why is it?
Yeah, you can go get access on Amazon. That's not appropriate for schools. It's grooming.
Your right to say they can't.
So again, we're talking about and
each parent, no. Each parent has to decide what is appropriate for their child to read. Right. What is your right to tell a parent who wants their child, who might feel seen by this story?
Their child might feel seen by this story.
Why don't they have the right? Why don't they have the right as a parent to say, my child can have access to this book?
If a child feels seen by this story, that means that they have been the victim of a predator. That means that they have either been raped by a family member, they've experienced
and your proof of that is what?
You just said that
What's
if a child feels seen by this story.
That's why I'm happy that people will no longer be subject to those types of opinions. Do y'all remember when Joy...
We just commented, what a shocking exchange from Joyless Reed. This conversation sums up everything wrong with MSNBC. We don't hate the lying legacy media nearly enough. Yeah, Chucky Schumer. He's big mad. He ought to be big mad. He's on the... Geez. If he's not on the Epstein list, he's on some kind of list. So, he's big mad about Doge. And by the way, there was a Supreme Court decision we'll get to that said that the president can stop the funding to things he does not support, blocking another judge that tried to block Trump. So I like this fast tracking things for Trump. Quickly get it to the Supreme Court. Quickly make a decision. You cannot be slowed down by the same group of people who are trying to destroy this country with the funding that you're trying to stop. They're literally taking the money from us, normal Americans, good Americans, to fund crazy shit to destroy this country. You cannot let a judge stop President Trump from getting us on track and getting us into a 4-year legal quagmire. Block the judge. And so I think it was a temporary order from the Supreme Court while they work out a bunch of stuff. But you can't do it the other way around. You can't just block the president. So we'll get to that story in a second. But yeah, the bad people in government, they hate Doge because it's holding them accountable. Imagine if in that HOA you had people money laundering, siphoning the funds. And it's like, well, I had $50,000 budgeted for landscaping. Where did that all go? I don't know. Well, can you show me what these 20 checks went to? I don't know. There's no code for them. There's no code. You would suspect that the property manager was involved in money laundering. You would suspect that vendors or board members were money laundering, robbing from the people you're supposed to help. Very sketchy stuff. Very sketchy stuff. So people like Chucky Schumer, he's caught with his hand in the cookie jar. He does not want to be held accountable because he likes his slush funds.
9/11 families deserve to be treated with dignity, with respect, not with the contempt we see from Doge. And no good business operator would take the slash and burn approach Doge is taking.
Yes, they do, because that's how all these big decisions are made. That's how Elon got rid of 90% of Twitter, and now they're doing better than ever. Completely bloated. People inside the system working against him, running malevolent code, malicious code, shadow banning. I still think our account's still shadow banned on X. But yeah, you do move fast. The goal is to move fast. And if there's something that's broken, you reinstate it because you quickly determine, oh, this is a thing that needs to be there in some regard. Let's put the thing that's needed in, but we had to get rid of all the stuff that's not. Elon saying, hey, send us an email with 5 bullet points of what you did last week. Yeah, it's called a proof of life. Is this a real person or is this a fake person with a fake social security number doing a fake job? Because that money is just getting launched into an NGO, then it goes to fund some corporation that then backs a political campaign that goes back into the DNC, that goes back into some organized effort to go against normal Americans. That's their system. So yeah, you do move fast, Chucky Schumer.
People's Social Security benefits are also at risk. Their ability.
No, they're not. President Trump could not be any more clear that Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid have nothing to do with this. Over and over and over again. Remember when Trump was asked 1 trillion times about David Duke? He's like, how many more times do I need to? I'm on record 100 times. You need 101? Like, what? Seriously, do your homework, lady. I've already addressed the issue. They keep lying about it because all they do is push fear. The deep state Democrats, all they push is fear and division. That's all they got in their tank.
To see a doctor is at stake. Their ability to put kids in daycare is at stake. The longer Doge is allowed to rain chaos on the American people, the stronger the backlash will become. 9/11 families deserve to be treated with dignity, with respect.
What an asshole invoking 9/11. What a fucking asshole to invoke 9/11 families. You prick. Oh, we don't hate these people enough. It's not, okay, great. Now it's not just, if you oppose us, you hate women. You hate black people. You hate Muslims. You hate immigrants. You hate racist, sexist, misogynist, this, that, the other. Okay, now you hate 9/11 families if you don't support our money laundering, our theft, stealing your money to use it against you to weaponize the Justice Department to come and get you. Oh my God, invoking 9/11 families. Yep, either support us, or I guess you hate 9/11 families. Oh, hold on, you didn't do the blackout on your on the screen on your Instagram account? Oh, guess you hate black people. Hey, look, either you post Black Lives Matter or you think Black lives don't matter. No, that's not how any of this works. And I'm not going to allow you to bully me into your Marxist organization. No, I'm not doing it. No. You don't get to decide if I don't support your crappy little group. Now I hate people because of how you named your group cleverly. No, that's not how this works. Chuck Schumer. If you don't agree with me, 6 ways from Sunday. Remember, he said famously the intelligence services have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you, telling President Trump he's messing up by seeking justice from a weaponized system that he's a part of, Schumer is a part of. We just posted Americans deserve 6 ways from Sunday to audit our own government. Your days of stealing our money to destroy us are over. Here's the pulse check thing that I was telling you about. This is great.
I think that email perhaps was misinterpreted as a performance review, but actually it was a pulse check review. Do you have a pulse? Do you have a pulse and 2 neurons? So if you have a pulse and 2 neurons, you can reply to an email. This is, I think not a high bar, is what I'm saying. This is, should be, anyone could accomplish this. But what we are trying to get to the bottom of is we think there are a number of people on the government payroll who are dead, which is probably why they can't respond. And some people who are not real people, like they're literally fictional individuals that are collecting paychecks. Well, somebody's collecting paychecks on a fictional individual. So we're just literally trying to figure out, are these people real? Are they alive? And can they write an email? Which I think is a reasonable expectation for the American public would have at least that expectation of someone in the public sector.
That's very well said. I agree with that 100%. Pulse, yes. 2 neurons, maybe not, says the right-winged angel. That's funny. We posted that it's time to audit. It's time to audit everything in the United States government, audit all Congress members, audit all states, audit our voting systems, audit our expenditures, audit everything already. Audit it all. Pam Bondi, here we go. Yeah, 9/11. Now you're happy, joy. Yeah, really, Keith. Everything that the left, I love how the left thinks everything is so-called right. Yeah, and the other thing they'll say is far right. I never use the term far right. They try to slam people as far right. They use far right as a dog whistle to claim somebody's a Nazi, but it just means like a normal person. But they try to pin a badge of dishonor, a scarlet letter upon your face or upon your chest to wear around forever. Oh, they're far right. No, they're just not crazy left. Crazy left is like 10% of the country, 15% of the country, 20% of the country, maybe 25% of the country. That's about as far as I'm giving you. I don't think most of this country's nuts. And I think there's a lot of people who are in the nuts camp that they just, I really hope Bobby Kennedy works on deprogramming the manipulation. So here is Pam Bondi talking with, here, let me just go, I don't know, maybe do that one. Here's Pam Bondi talking about what is going to happen today. I keep waiting for this to drop.
You said,
so here we go. What do we know?
Last week that you have the Epstein files on your desk. When can we see them, and what's taking so long to release them?
I do. Jesse, there are well over, this will make you sick, 200 victims. 200. So we have well over 250 actually. So we have to make sure that their identity is protected and their personal information. But other than that, I think tomorrow, the personal information of victims. Other than that, I think tomorrow, Jesse, breaking news right now, you're going to see some Epstein information being released by my office.
What kind? Are we going to see who was on the flights? Are we going to see any evidence from what he recorded? Because he had all of his homes wired with recording devices.
Yeah. What you're going to see, hopefully tomorrow, is a lot of flight logs, a lot of names, a lot of information. But it's pretty sick what that man did.
Okay. Well,
along with his co-defendant.
Absolutely. And he had help. That's for sure.
He sure did.
You said last week that you have.
Oh, yeah, he had help. Mossad, CIA, deep state, bad operators everywhere. But yeah, Keith, I don't use the term far right anymore at all. Wham, bam, thank you, band. Pam Blondie. There you go. Allie McReal. Those are some fun names. Yeah. We'll do LFG button. Oh, geez. LFG button. There we go. That's what I tried to type the first time. We'll delete that. Okay, cool. So any moment now, we might be getting these files. Let me know if we do.
7 million people.
Here is Snowflake Tears sharing this. This is Congressman Timmons making it perfectly clear that we are no longer going to scam the American people. Here you go. What say you? Listen to this energy.
People voted for President Trump because we are out of balance. The Biden administration, whoever was running the show, engaged in ridiculous policies that the American people disagree with, whether it's with DEI or, trans policies, whatever it is. We're turning the page, and we're not going to abdicate our leadership in the global community. We're going to hit reset because we are so out of balance that all we can do is go to zero and then build back. Because we're not going to spend $2 million on sex changes in Guatemala or $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. These are ridiculous policies that the American people have overwhelmingly said they do not want. 7 million people voted for President Trump because...
Yeah. Full speed ahead with the MAGA agenda button. I like leaving comments with you in real time while we... it's like leaving breadcrumbs throughout the internet to boost the algorithm. But yeah, the people voted for this. People want this. It's full steam ahead, full speed ahead. Here is another one. This is what I was saying about the David Duke thing. How many times do you have to answer the same stupid question? Here you go.
The spending bill that passed last night aims to cut $2 trillion.
Right.
Can you guarantee that Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security will not be touched?
Yeah, I mean, I have said it so many times, you shouldn't be asking me that question. Okay? This will not be read my lips. It won't be read my lips anymore. We're not going to touch it. Now, we are going to look for fraud. I'm sure you're okay with that, like people that shouldn't be on, people that are illegal aliens and others, criminals in many cases. And that's with Social Security. We have a lot of people. You see that immediately when you see people that are 200 years old that are being sent checks for Social Security. Some of them are actually being sent checks. So we're tracing that down, and I have a feeling that Pam is going to do a very good job with that. But you have a lot of fraud. But no, we're not doing anything on this.
So there you go. We said this should resolve the fake accusations from the Democrat deep state. Enough of the Democrat lies already. They're just trying trying to ramp these stories up to make people hate Trump. It ain't happening. We are super excited. This is the most okay, here. Let me do this. Question of the day. Is the second Trump administration the most excited and optimistic you have ever been, have ever felt about America's government? We'll pin that one. Everybody in the chat room, by the way, hit like, hit subscribe, please. Tell me if the Epstein list breaks while we're doing this show. But question of the day, is the second Trump administration the most excited and optimistic you have ever felt about America's government? I would love to hear your thoughts on that. Here is Jesse Waters with his perpetually glassy eyes.
Doesn't like being told what to do. When they saw Musk with the chainsaw doging foreign aid, they started leaking to CNN. If you doge us, there will be consequences. On the CIA's 7th floor, home to top leadership, some officers are also quietly discussing how mass firings and the buyouts already offered to staff risk creating a group of disgruntled former employees who might be motivated to take what they know to a foreign intelligence service. The CIA is telling CNN that if their funding gets cut, they're going to sell state secrets to Russia. Who the hell hired these Benedict Arnolds? The CIA is supposed to be filled with patriots, not sellouts. And the FBI is up to no good, too. Michael Schellenberger is reporting a source inside the FBI says the Bureau is destroying evidence. Now we know what their accomplishments were last week. Dear Elon, I wiped the servers cleaner than crooked. Intel doesn't like being told what to do. When they saw...
We just said it's time to root out the traitors and make examples out of them immediately. Yeah, buddy. You're back. Come on. Come on. You can stay right here and you can listen to me yap. How's that? Is that a deal? You can listen to me yap. Oh, okay. Here's the next video started playing. Okay, here's the next one. Change the aspect ratio. All right. This is from David Harris Jr. It says Doge. Okay, so let's learn about this one. This is exactly okay, so this story originated from a satire site. And unless we are mistaken, this story is a joke, not true, and representing it as factual is damaging to the MAGA movement. Did we miss any context here? There, that's my point. That's what I want to tell you. So this was a report that David Harris Jr. shared. Doge stopped an annual payment to Barack Obama for $2.6 million for royalties associated with Obamacare. Now, number one, that didn't strike me as possible or logical right off the bat. He's been collecting it since 2010 for a total of $39 million. Your thoughts on this MFer? So our comment here says this story originated from a satire site. And unless we are mistaken, the story is a joke, not true, and representing it as factual is damaging to the MAGA movement. Did we miss any context here? Okay, so just keep your eyes peeled for that story. This is on One American News. This is Representative Burchett asking a Doge subcommittee witness, Greg Roman, if he knows of any instances where U.S. foreign aid has funded the bad guys. Holy shit, people.
Mr. Roman, are you aware that we are sending $40 million a week to the Taliban?
Yes, sir.
Can you name other instances of foreign aid going to terrorist organizations?
By the way, I love Representative Burchett and how he runs his meetings. They are focused. They are concise. They are informative. They are fantastic. I've watched a few of these now. I want this guy in charge. Whatever he's doing, this is the way to run a meeting. Oh, just the grandstanding and then the bloviating and then the obfuscation. Just the facts, Jack. Get to the damn point. Go, 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 go. Jam-packed information here. He does such a great job.
We have assisted al-Shabaab in Somalia. There's been instances of the Hamzi network in Sudan, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, Hezbollah, Kata'iba Hezbollah, Hayat Tahrir al-Shams in Syria. Dozens of terror organizations have received indirect assistance from U.S. foreign aid.
Mr. Roman, are you aware that we are sending $40 million a week to the Taliban?
Okay, so this is a tiny quote, but it gets even bigger. Yeah, I watched a few different video compilations of him. That's fantastic. In just a couple short minutes, he unpacks so much information for all of us to have. He does an amazing job. And we just said this is the most treasonous deep state activity America has ever seen. When will the indictments begin? All right, so here is Real America's Voice, Natalie Winters, talking about what's going on with the media. She's there now. Here's what's happening.
I think this is a wonderful first step because you can tell the sense, right? The questions that they ask President Trump, they're not to inform the American people. They're to act like activists, just like these judges masquerade as activists. These journalists masquerade as activists too. They're the tip of the spear when it comes to the resistance. And all that they're trying to do is set President Trump up to take the bait, to create this narrative. I overhear them talking, collaborating, and colluding to come up with certain narratives, right? That's their intention. Now, they also control the seating, right? When you watch the briefings, the people who are sitting in those chairs. I would advocate, and I'm not just talking selfishly, but I would say you need to reorient who's sitting in those chairs as well, right? Caroline Leavitt said, we want to hold outlets that lie accountable for their lies. Okay, Politico lied about the Hunter Biden hard drive. Why are they still sitting in one of the front, if not two front rows, being able to ask questions, right? It's time for accountability. I know we aren't allowed to say the word retribution, and saying that in earshot of any of these people, who knows how that's going to end for me. But this is not retribution. It's justice for mainstream media outlets who are state propaganda that have lied to us for decades.
I think you're trending already. You said strip them of their seats. Go back and make the case for that. I mean, it's pretty hardcore throwdown. What do you mean strip them of their seats? I think that's going to go viral here. We're going to push it. What do you mean by that?
Well, look,
and make your case. What's your justification of that?
Well, through the paradigm that the White House has set forth, they said we will hold outlets accountable for their lies. And if lying about the Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America was enough to get the Associated Press ripped out of the Oval Office, then every single legacy media outlet in there, that is child's play compared to the lies that they have propagated against the American people. And I'm not just talking the marginal fact checks about the efficacy of, COVID vaccines or election fraud. All of these outlets, even if you want to start the clock at 2020, covered up the most massive national security threatening story that has probably ever happened in the history of this country, which is the fact that a man whose mental cognitive capacity was probably tantamount to that of a dead person was running this country. And I'm sorry, but all the journalists who are now melting down about the White House Correspondents Association no longer having access. I missed any of you guys writing the story about Joe Biden being so out to lunch that nobody from his own team could even reach him. And
it's just, who in the hell was calling the shots for 4 years? I don't know how we survived it. Like I said earlier, my brother didn't survive Joe Biden's America. He messed with the healthcare, demonized and removed monoclonal antibodies from treatment lists, and threatened doctors. He had doctors prescribing him ivermectin, and the pharmacies weren't allowed to fill it. They were so scared, instead of 60 milligrams, they only gave him 12 milligrams when he really needed the heavy doses for those 3 days. Some people, like my family members, did not survive. I don't know how America survived 4 years of this treasonous activity. All of the lies, all of the overreach from this Biden government that, like she's saying, he wasn't in charge. Who was even running the country for 4 years? None of these lying legacy media companies even bothered asking that question.
These media outlets are not asking questions to inform the American people or help President Trump communicate his agenda in the same way on record they did with Joe Biden. All they are doing is acting like activists. For example, that chick who wrote the story saying that we are state-funded media, I went through all of her old tweets. She was advocating saying that people should, quote, steal from the Trump hotel. She says all these saying that she would love to watch someone physically assault Trump, okay? These people are deranged anti-Trump activists, and I don't know why we have to performatively treat them as journalists. I think this is a wonderful first step because you can tell the sense, right? The questions that they ask President Trump, they're not to inform.
Okay, so that started again. Yeah, we just said it's time to finally punish the lying legacy media mouthpieces of the deep state. They are jokes and dangerous traitors, so let's treat them as such. James O'Keefe letting us know what the heck is going on here at the border. We got a Border Patrol agent blowing the whistle. Good grief. Who put a policy like this in place? Everybody knows this is a terrible policy. Why don't we just fix it?
Border Patrol agent Monica Cruz in the Welton, Arizona sector is blowing the whistle on a deeply flawed system in which juvenile smugglers, also known as foot guides, are able to bring multiple groups of illegal aliens across the border on a regular basis. The smugglers are teenagers whose ages range from 14 to 17 years old. Given a loophole in the American law, when the teenage smugglers are apprehended by Border Patrol, they are released back to Mexico repeatedly, only to repeat the same smuggling route with no fear of legitimate consequences. One particular smuggler, known by the nickname Timmy, has been apprehended and released over 20 times, which means he smuggled people 20 times. Monica Cruz has made the extraordinary decision to go public, on the record, which is against Border Patrol policy.
And don't fear the government and what they can do to you. I'm just standing here, just hear what I'm trying to say. Help me.
This is her story, and the story of teenage smugglers, Timmy and Jimmy.
We're here with Border Patrol agent blowing the whistle on the individual who was apprehended 20 times, taking this path right here in the middle of nowhere in Arizona. Let's keep going. This individual, Timmy, apprehended 20 times, but they're doing it on behalf of somebody else.
They're doing it on behalf of the cartels. This is a scout location, that little peak right there.
They go to peak to peak to peak.
Peak to peak to peak.
Maybe that's what we should do tomorrow. Let's go.
So I got the mountain?
Yeah.
We don't know if there's anything up there?
This is some challenging terrain here. These rocks, be careful with your feet. Whoa, 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 whoa.
You heard the whistle?
Just now?
I wouldn't be surprised if they're behind that ridge. I'm just looking at me.
Yeah, that whistle was so... What you should be doing for this moment moving forward is understanding that we are being watched, we're being monitored, and they are whistling.
By the way, I know that whistle. I know that whistle. It's what gangbangers and drug dealers do. The whistle is real, people. Once you've heard it, you know how to listen for it, and you could be blocks away and know what's going on just based on what you're hearing if you know what to listen for.
Hello.
Well, hello there.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, finally.
Anyway, so go check that broadcast out. Thanks for revealing this. Yeah, we said it's time to fix this stuff. That's our comment. It's an 18-minute video, so go check it out. Hey, this one's good. I think I will play this one. Mel Gibson, let's go.
You did not.
He's here speaking at a Recall Gavin Newsom event on yesterday.
Let us down.
People in charge did.
You're heroes.
That's right.
Governor Newsom and Karen Bass let us all.
Yep. Heck yeah.
Especially the fire department.
Yeah.
I mean, for the privilege of living in the beautiful state of California, we citizens in the state pay the highest tax levels in the USA. It's 13.3%.
Yeah.
I take my fair share, let me tell you. So is everyone here.
Yep.
Now, for that kind of money, we deserve much more and much better, and there is absolutely no adequate excuse the governor or mayor can make for this gross mismanagement and failure to preemptively deal with what they knew was coming.
That's right. Yep. They knew it.
Was it incompetence?
To say the least.
Indifference?
Yes.
Complacency? Carelessness?
All the above.
Was it negligence? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Was it criminal negligence?
Yes. Big time.
See, there are many who say that it is criminal negligence.
Yes, it is. Big time.
Did the mayor and the governor give a damn about you?
Nope.
Absolutely not.
Nope. All she cared was about her.
I mean, that's clear.
Yeah. No for governor.
Newsom, since he's been in whatever you call it, office, has brought us nothing but rampant crime, acute homelessness, horrendous inflation. I mean, the industry I work in, the film industry, this used to be the mecca of filmdom.
It's left.
It is no more.
That's right.
And the tech industries have taken off, and
That's
many
right.
businesses in the industry, they just left. They blew out of town because he's made it untenable
That's right.
for people to make a living here.
Yep.
So anyway, you can watch the full video. I was just giving you a taste of it. It's 6 minutes long. We got a lot of stories to get to, but yeah, he talks about a lot of things in this clip. You know, should Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom be in charge of rebuilding this area? Is it possible that they knew in advance that this was going to happen? You're damn right it's possible. What, you heard that weird phone call that was leaked from Karen Bass about going on a trip in 2 days. Now, I can't tell you what's going on. You're going to have to read between the lines, but you'll find out soon. If that's not AI generated or completely taken out of context from a different event and spliced together, if that's a real conversation, she needs to be interrogated immediately because it sounds like she knows something. All right, moving on. But yeah, listen to it. It's a good 6 minutes with Mel Gibson. It's on our it's on our Instagram page. The people do not want Gavin Newsom to be in charge of this rebuild. They want their 30-minute cities. They want their smart grids. They want all of their pie in the sky stuff. And yeah, if you can just eliminate it, a whole area, you get to rebuild the city in your perfect image, just like Maui, just like North Carolina. Wow. We're seeing this so often right now, nowadays. Right? So, yeah, anyway. Okay. Here is Do Not Comply, saying that a federal employee just went on CNN to cry that she only had 48 hours to reply to Elon and Doge's email. So she had time to get herself booked on CNN, then go on TV, but not to reply to an email about her actual job? Got it. Derp. All right, here's VA Secretary Doug Collins and his team. What did they find in their contracts as they're trying to figure out where is the VA wasteful money going?
Fast paced, and I keep coming to you with what we're doing. And today I've got a number. I got some big news for you. And look, this is why we talk about efficiency and getting the job done for veterans here at the VA. Right now, I've just been told we are just the first step of almost $2 billion. That's billion with a B. That we found in contracts that are cutting. Those are things that we're saving now that we can put back into healthcare benefits, making sure that we're doing what the VA is supposed to do, and that is health and veterans benefits. You know, stands to reason. But hey, you got to see this. I've been giving this report. It says we were taking millions of contracts in dollars in contracts to create things like PowerPoint slide and meeting minutes. Folks, if you don't know how to run PowerPoint slides, learn. It's a tutorial on your computer. Go learn for free. It's okay. Take your own notes. Wow, I'll send you one of my pencils if you need one, but we're not paying millions of dollars for consultants to do this for us. Also, I found out coaching and training. Millions of dollars in contracts for coaching and training. If you need coaching and training, that's what you have in a supervisor. And if your supervisor can't coach you and train you in their job, then I tell you what, let me know. I'll come help you. We'll be ready to go. And also, this last one kills me. It was millions of dollars for executive support. You know, I love you and I support you, but we can figure out how to do things on our own. We don't need outside people coming in to help us with executive support. Look, these are they're going to be more coming. This is going to have some details that are going to be coming out for you. And also, there's more contracts coming. So this is just the first of all, right at $2 billion. We got almost there. There's going to be more coming. But let me let you know, don't feed the line of what DC's wanting to tell you. We are putting money back to veterans health, back to veterans benefits. And don't let nameless sources, even senators and House members who want to scare you and media who want to perpetuate the line, We're taking care of the veterans. I promise you that from day one.
There you go. Feels like adults are kind of in charge now, doesn't it? Whoop, where did our, hold on.
No, it's been fast paced, and I keep coming to you with what we're doing.
Yep, hold on. There we go. Okay. Where did our Ukrainian dollars go, people? Where did they go?
You know all this money that we've been giving to Ukraine? You're not going to believe what they did with it. A Senate investigation found the Ukrainians spent the money on runway models. Money we sent to Ukraine wound up funding fashion shows. Our money also went to a Ukrainian vineyard. Did you know Ukraine was known for its wine? I didn't. Our money was also spent on an artisanal fruit tea company. Oh, and we paid this Ukrainian to make cheese puffs. Look, see the little USAID sticker next to his head? And these Ukrainians are making socks with our money. Sending missiles to Ukraine is one thing that makes a lot more sense than paying for wine, cheese, and models. Are we sure Hunter's not there? Democrats think this is all money.
Are we sure Hunter's not there?
You know all this money.
Yeah. Just so much waste. All right, let's get to Anna Paulina Luna here. They're talking about talking to Liz Wheeler. We need these 9/11 files.
Ask you one more question before I let you go here, and that's regarding 9/11. It seems to me that there is evidence, there are reports that the White House, the Bush White House, including the National Security Council, was aware of chatter from terror groups about September 11th, 2001, specifically that date, aware of chatter about a plot on that date to crash airliners into the World Trade Center, and they decided that that was not a credible threat. That is what I've heard we could possibly find from those documents. Please give me your thoughts on this.
Yeah, so based on what I'm hearing from very credible witnesses, and also we are working on obtaining that piece of footage that UK intelligence gave to these families. The UK intelligence also shared with our FBI. I am hearing firsthand that the FBI, whether intentionally or not, mishandled credible threats leading up to 9/11. So I would say that based on what I'm hearing, that that's likely a credible assumption.
Well, that will be, I mean, that's beyond a smoking gun.
Everyone has suspicions that the CIA needs an overhaul, and you're seeing that. I mean, it's literally on CNN. It's literally on CNN. But the FBI, wow. The FBI, Cash and Bongino could not have a better set of people to flush that out. But what I've just been hearing over the last 2 weeks, just, I couldn't make this stuff up.
Yeah, it'll floor you. Let me ask you one more question.
We're waiting. We need to get to the bottom of this. Here's a good question from this guy on the Breakfast Club. Talking to Soggy Breakfast Crockett Club. Yeah, this Jasmine Crockett is really a piece of work. She's awful. Yeah, this guy Charlemagne asking Jasmine Crockett about waste, fraud, and abuse being identified from the Department of Defense.
Is there anything good that this administration?
I'm sorry, it wasn't him asking this question. It's this guy.
Administration has done so far. Anything that you can say, well, at least that's a good thing.
Huh?
Okay.
Illegal border crossings are down 94%. Huh?
Not nothing. I saw Bernie Sanders
nothing.
post yesterday about he likes what Trump is attempting to do with the Pentagon by auditing them and stuff like that.
Okay, attempting. Let's see it happen.
The Department of Defense has never passed an audit and has only been required to conduct one for 7 years, starting in 2018, when Trump was in office. It has an $800 billion annual budget,
Okay, right there. The fact that the Pentagon hasn't passed a budget since 2017, and that was the only time ever required to do so. And that only happened because Donald Trump got in office. He's like, every business, you gotta look at your books. Like, where's the money coming? Where's it going? Where's it allocated to? What's projected for next year? Like, what are you doing? That is literally what I was telling you about creating the building matrix for our 25 buildings at our HOA. What year was the roof replaced? Who was the vendor? And is it under warranty? Who painted the building? What year? And what are the touch-up colors if we need to do touch-up paint? The most basic oversight imaginable. The fact that it's not there proves that it's intentionally not there. You have to go out of your way to be that stupid.
$8 trillion in assets and $4 trillion in liabilities. The average audit of a large business can take anywhere from a few months to a year. As of right now, the largest company in the world is Apple at $3.86 trillion, meaning that auditing the Department of Defense would be like auditing the largest business in the world. Donnie's been in office for 4 weeks. Attempting.
The vast majority of the waste, fraud, and abuse that we have in this country is Department of Defense.
Good thing they're trying to audit it. Demon.
You can Google and find out that at some point in time we were spending like $1,000 per toilet or something. So like that's where we see these inflated costs. That's where we have a lot.
Those are black ops budgets, like they said in Independence Day. President goes down the subterranean layer. I didn't even know about this division of government. How do you get your funding? He goes, sir, you don't think they really spend $24,000 on a toilet seat, do you?
A lot of contractors. That's where they play a lot of games.
Cool. That's what you call a common thread, a pattern of behavior. Where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm sure it's not only happening there.
Nope.
Good thing they're trying to audit it. And all the other departments that are likely doing exactly the same.
Audit every department.
Really makes you wonder why you've been screeching so much about how bad Elon is.
But approximately 50% of our discretionary budget is defense.
Yeah, and we'd all like that to be reduced. But generally speaking, one of the primary objectives of the federal government is defense, as the individual states do not spend any money on national defense, whereas the federal government spends money on national defense in every state. So yeah, that kind of makes sense though.
And they can't pass an audit. So why we didn't start there, where Elon has decided that he was going to get 2 new contracts just in 2 weeks, one for $400 million to Tesla.
That was initiated by the Biden administration.
The Democrats lie and mischaracterize almost everything. It is, like I said, it's not 100% foolproof that if the Democrats say it, it's incorrect, but man, it's a good starting point.
Try again.
Another for a little over $300 million to SpaceX. I don't know why we didn't start there.
SpaceX has significantly reduced the cost of a space launch, with SpaceX launches being up to 10 times cheaper than a NASA launch.
And even faster if you have people stuck up on the space station. They're like, all right, well, instead of taking months and months and months, maybe we can get up there a lot quicker. Let's get a plan together, ready to go. It's just...
In 2022, NASA Administrator Bill Nelson said that SpaceX has saved the United States government over $40 billion on military space launches. Elon himself has challenged any person to find a single expenditure that SpaceX has produced that has not been a cost savings to what it would have cost the federal government or NASA to do it on their own. His contracts are literally saving us money. Demon.
But it seems like we could find a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse because, again, they've not been able to pass an audit.
Good thing we're auditing them. Oh, my God. Yell it sassy.
There is a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse in the federal.
She is so unlistenable. Oh, she's terrible. So what is this? Do not comply sharing a video. This shows Venezuelan president publicly exposing how the Biden administration purposely imported the vicious Tren de Aragua gang. Biden caught red-handed running Tren de Aragua.
Request the reports from the last 4 years from the FBI and DEA offices in Colombia so you can see President Trump, who funded, who moved, who directed the infamous Tren de Aragua, who brought them...
Did he say Trump?
...to Colombia, who brought them to the United States, and ask for the truthful reports. So you know that here in Venezuela, we defeated, dismantled, and eliminated that criminal group, a violent one that was intended to be used from Colombia with deep ties to the former Biden administration to bring terrorism to Venezuela. Request the reports from the last 4 years from the FBI and DEA offices in Colombia so you can see President Trump, who funded, who moved, who...
Oh, he's saying, so you can see President Trump, who moved, who funded, who was behind the Tren de Aragua thing. Yeah, it's Biden. Who was behind ISIS? Obama. God, we don't hate these people enough. When are the traitorous indictments going to drop? To our buddy over here, Jeremiah. How are you, sir? Jeremiah, where are you reaching out to us from today? What state do we have you in, or a different country even? What do we have? We have Kentucky, Ohio, Florida, and where was the other one? represented? Tulsa, Oklahoma, I think. Always curious to know. Hey, yeah, maybe Edward Leeds Scalnan, the guy down in Florida that was able to lift these heavy rocks, kind of allegedly found out the way to do it, like the ancient Egyptians were able to levitate. You use sound, you use frequencies, you use magnets. There's different ways to propel. And yeah, all you have to do is go on a roller coaster. You go on those magnetic roller coasters, they're silent and they go click. And that's essentially what a Tesla feels like taking off, 0 to 60 in like 3 seconds. Like, whoa, that was a rush. Like the Top Thrill Dragster up in Ohio at Cedar Point, I think it goes 115 miles an hour in 3 seconds, 4 seconds. Like, what? Actually, let me see how fast that is. How fast Top Thrill Dragster? 120 miles an hour. I was right. Oh my God, that's such a rush. So yeah, magnets maybe. Yo, you're reaching out from Canada, New Brunswick. Awesome, dude. Thanks for joining us in Canada. Are you question to you, Jeremiah? How soon does Trudeau get removed? How soon does Pierre Poilievre take over? And is it like a 95-5 overwhelming? They're going to absolutely wipe the floor with Trudeau's globalist regime, and that Pierre is going to do some of the Trumpian stuff to make your country great again. You might be able to. What is your thought on that? I'm curious to get it directly from you. What you think? Okay, let's go to this one here. John Matland with WTPR The News says Republican Democrat governors. Oh, Republican versus Democrat governors. Let's compare. Florida is actively pushing to end property taxes. New York is actively pushing to tax their citizens to drive on the roads their taxes pay for, whilst threatening higher property taxes. Any questions? Yeah, we're going to say flee blue cities, flee blue states. We need to pass the SAVE Act because I don't think these cities and states are really voting blue. I just think that they're conquered. They know how to gather ballots and they deliver ballots. I don't know that it's real people. I think that they've just gamed the system, and I don't think people really vote Democrat or globalist in mass at all. Everyone wants to vote nationalist. You care about your community. You don't care about anything more than you care about your local community. You care about your street more than you care. Then you care a little bit less, but you still care about your city. You care about your state. You care about your country. And then at a far distant, after caring about your country, yeah, there's other things you might give a shit about, but nothing on the level of local caring. New York blew it. Yeah, that's what I was saying with Edward Leeds Scalnan and the stuff that he used down at, it wasn't Coral Gables. Where was that? I remember watching on Ancient Aliens. Where was the, I don't remember which city in Florida. Edward Leeds Scalnan. Saying aliens built them 6,000 years ago, 400 years prior to Hyperion and Hercules War in 5500 BCE. Okay. Jeremiah saying, I was hoping Trump would have exposed that Epstein lost. Justin Trudeau. Would Trudy get arrested? Has Trudy been to the island? Oh, that would explain a lot. Going against the truckers instead of the people, trying to decide. Canada, you got to get your guns back, man. Get your rights and liberties back and deport the people who are in your country illegally. I'm telling you, like, you're our neighbors, you're our brothers. We love you up there. I know the 51st state and ragging on Trudeau and then fighting during the hockey match. That was wild. Don't boo our anthem. But no, we want strong neighbors to the north. We want you to be as free as possible. Absolutely. Jeremiah, I don't like any government. I think they're all traitors to God. Yeah. I mean, look, I think some people can try to get involved to help. You know, I was involved in the most local government imaginable, a homeowners association, and I spent a decade and a half busting my ass, walking the property to make sure every building, the worst case of painting, we would triage it. What's the worst looking building on the street? That's what gets done next. We can't do everything this month, but we can do one. We can do 3 per year. We can do 5 a year, and in 5 years, we'll do all of them. We set a plan and we stuck to it. there are people involved in government that are trying to help. Not everyone. I just think the longer you're there in Washington, D.C., and Congress, especially with the lobbyists and how things work, yeah, there needs to be some term limits. I think there's a lot of great people that show up and want to do some good. So I don't think they're all bad. So, David saying, to be honest, I trust very few politicians in Canada. I mean, right? You got to get your guns back, and you got to deport your illegal aliens. You guys are transforming the genetic makeup of your country. You're bringing in people that don't know what it means to be Canadian. Decades, generations, 3, 4, 5 generations of being Canadian. You just dump millions of people from parts unknown anywhere but Canada. That's bullshit. They don't have the same values. They might not speak English or French. That whole French thing's a little weird, but you want people that share your culture, that share your values, that that have been on your street for a while. Like you guys went to school together. You have a vested interest. You're in it together. You're in the same rowboat moving in the same direction. You just turn over a bucket that's been scooped up from every non-Canadian country, just start dumping them in Vancouver. It's like, oh my God, what even is this place? This is like an enclave of, this bucket of people, that's like little India. This bucket of people, it's like little China. This bucket of people, it's like, how about Canada? How about have a small screened number of people that want to become a Canadian, go through the process, become a citizen? What do you say? Yeah, like my family who beat Lord Moncton. Yeah, man, I want Canada to be great. Unfortunately, we're emerging from a calamitous situation just 5 years ago. This is Joe Rogan talking about the darkest conspiracy theory ever. And I say this all the time. I think I even said it today. Never chalk up to accident what could easily be described as a malicious, intentional act. Okay? Here's Joe Rogan talking about it. Let's get to him. Here he goes.
This is the darkest of conspiracy theories. The darkest of conspiracy theories was that the leak was intentional. The darkest of conspiracy theories is that this was planned. They knew this is going to be a financial windfall. It is the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of the United States by far, from the working class to the elite. It's like $3+ trillion or something crazy like that.
Yep.
We've already established that it was created in a lab. We already established that USAID funded it. We already established that Fauci et al. Lied about gain-of-function research, what they were doing. The worst theory possible is that this was released on purpose.
Yeah, that would be the worst-case scenario, yeah.
Have you ever danced that one around your head? Because that's where we know they're willing to do horrible, evil shit. Mm-hmm. But, is there a ceiling on that?
Even now to this day, having spent so much of my life in it, I try to just pursue the leads that I have and then try to let the conclusions come to me. Certainly the fact that they funded the capacity to do this, they worked directly with all the networks that were both doing it and censoring it, puts you pretty much as, they created it and they covered up at least the leak. In terms of the intentionality for doing it, that is a really dark scenario. There are a lot of things in American history that have that same, Miha-Liha distinction. Did they make it happen or did they let it happen? Did they let it happen or did they make it happen? And both of them are major scandals.
This is the darkest of conspiracy.
We said this was intentionally released unless we see compelling evidence that it wasn't. Never call this a leak. This was a release. We're willing to change our mind, but I'm considering this to be intentional unless I see anything to overturn that. Here's Anna Paulina Luna reacting to Pam Bondi's announcement that some of the Epstein files will be released. It says tomorrow, but now today.
held accountable for the terrible things that they have done. So that's a big win. Obviously, you guys know we've been tasked to head up, and actually Brandon Gill's here. He's actually heading up the task force on declassification. Although we don't hold declassification authority, we are going to be investigating everything that is released and declassified from the White House. So Epstein's going to be on there, also looking into JFK, RFK, MLK. And so we are very happy. This is a huge win, not just for our task force and for Congress, but I think for the entire country. And again, kudos to Bondi and Trump and everyone that's worked so hard to make that happen. So it's very historical. I'm very happy that I got to get that fact checked by ALX because frankly, everyone who would have been tweeting about it was here. So that was pretty breaking news. But again, if you guys need anything, look, we're here to serve you. I can tell you that as far as we're concerned, that should be held accountable for.
Anyway, so yeah, let's go. Let's get it done. TikTok, we're waiting. Rodney Smith here saying Trump derangement syndrome is wild. There's people who think Trump took his name off the Epstein files. Epstein was arrested in 2019. Do you really think the Dems would have withheld that info about Trump? Do you really think these files would see the light of day if Kamala won? You know, because when you start seeing, I think it was Jasmine Crockett. She's like the new, she might try to take over the Democrat Party. Oh, is she awful? Oh, is she? Oh, so cringe and just, it's all right. It's what I expected. Or was it her or Ilhan Omar? I'm trying to remember my least favorite Democrat of the week based on this post, but I saw them sharing something about, oh, doggone it, aspect ratio. Now you can't read it. Whatever, you get the point. Yeah, saying something about Trump not releasing it and insinuating that he's on the list. It's like, yeah, the guy that kicked him out of his country club, the guy that can't stand him, the guy that's, I think he's bought multiple properties just to get in the way of what Epstein was trying to do, just to screw with him. If Epstein wants it, he wants to get him out of there. He'll take it instead. There's a lot of stories about Trump hating Epstein. Yeah. All right, moving on. But it's an interesting thought. Check this out. Here's a sensitive content. Hold on. Sensitive content warning. Nothing sensitive about protecting America. Jeez. One guy's on the ground. We got a showdown here. This is saying it's Border Patrol. Is that I don't know what we're actually witnessing here, what border this is. Watch here, coming up. It's like trying to pick this guy on. And that guy too. Backing up. What does it say on the, it does say police. Maybe these are American Border Patrol. I think that says police in English. Oh, here you go. Comes some help. One guy arrested. And boom! You down, fool. You down. Bravo. Let's normalize tackling people trying to break into our country. If indeed that's what does that say? I think that says Border Patrol. God, was that American Border Patrol? That's all they have is a stick? Ugh. Good tackle, though. Cleveland Browns could use him at linebacker. Charlie Kirk just sharing this, starting off at like, here we are, and we're going to talk to you about college campus. And then bam, look at that. Completely full. We've come a long way. Love to see it. Love to see it. Love to see it. Okay. That shall conclude my Instagram feed. This is where I'm going to now roll through our X account and show you things that we may not have gotten to just yet. And so we are going to, as we always do, share this tab instead. Just show you real quick This is the project that we made. Hurricane Helene, help on the way. The donation links are in the back end of this video. We traveled to Southern Virginia. Then Grizzly, this tattoo shop owner, was gracious enough to take us on a guided tour as we made donation runs through Southern Virginia into Tennessee and into Western North Carolina. Here's the trailer for it. Please like it, share it, leave some comments on it. We're proud of it because this story needs to be told. And so as we begin our X feed, this is pinned here, so it reminds me to show you what we do. We go out to events and we talk to people in person. We sit behind our camera in our studio and deliver the news. We go to music events, sporting events. We go to political events, breaking news. Like, that's the new American media because the old American media failed. Here you go.
There was no notifications going to your phone, like an Amber Alert, like evacuate. I get alerts from Denny's. There actually was a bunch of houses right here that aren't here now. You can see, look how big the river is, like the riverbed. Holy, look at this Dollar General, bro.
It blesses your heart to see the way people have come together.
Yeah. I heard like 4 different people talking about like how everybody's just worried this initial hype's gonna die away and people are just gonna forget about it. And really none of these communities can afford to be forgotten.
So please follow the New American Media on Rumble and on YouTube.
Your guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.
So there you go. Please link up with us and follow us. All right, back to our X account. Share this tab instead. Where did that go? Right here. There we are. Side by side. Good. All right. Tell me about the Battle of Hymn of the Republic. In what regard are you referencing? I'm curious. Roseanne here says, we are at the point where anyone identifying as a Democrat should just be pointed at and laughed at. She said point 3 times in that first sentence. Sorry, that's the editor in me. We are at the point where anyone identifying as a Democrat at this point should just be pointed at and laughed at. You could have edited that a little bit. Anyway, she goes, that's it. No more arguing. Just point and laugh. I'd like to see this become a trend. We've argued and reasoned long enough. Anyone that hasn't woken up yet never will wake up. They don't deserve our energy or sympathy any longer. Point and laugh. Point and laugh. I agree. Pierce Morgan talking with Anna Paulina Luna. She has thoughts on what's going to happen with this release.
Jeffrey Epstein files.
I'm sorry, not Anna Paulina Luna. This is Halina Haba, Trump's attorney.
We're told are to be imminently unleashed.
Was Pierce Morgan on the list?
And already we saw the Attorney General Pam Bondi say that it's the scale of what happened is far worse than anyone realized. Well over 200, maybe 250 victims, and that we're going to get information either later today or tomorrow from these files. What can you tell me about that?
I believe it will be today. I was just with, I saw Pam and Cash in the White House just before coming on your show. And I can tell you that I haven't been privy to it yet, but I know it is coming out. They will be taking portions of it. We have to be patient. And I said this last night at a dinner with some media. And I said, I think America needs to remember one thing. We are going to be promises made, promises kept. But when you're dealing with victims. And by the way, this is a perfect example of a case that was vetted, that went through trial, that had testimony, and was prosecuted the right way. I don't preemptively attack. That's just not the way I operate. But in this case, in Epstein's case, it is incredibly disturbing. We have flight logs, we have information, names that will come out.
Is it going to be shocking?
I don't see how it's not shocking that there were so many individuals that were hidden and kept secret and not been held.
I believe that's Alina Haba. Did it say at the bottom of the screen she's not a blonde anymore? That's jarring.
Accountable. Let's talk about the reverse. I believe in accountability. So you have to now go through your process. Now, I won't say they're guilty until they go through their time in court, but again, now it's time for accountability. We have seen for so many years, Pierce, in this country, many investigations, subpoenas, testimonies in Congress, et cetera, et cetera. But there's a general frustration with accountability. We take it halfway, we don't take it home. And I really believe that now with Cash and Pam, there will be accountability.
And we know that only one person so far has actually gone to prison over that whole scandal. It was Ghislaine Maxwell, the former lover of Jeffrey Epstein. No man so far.
Yeah, it's convicted of running an operation that allegedly trafficked all these people to nobody. Yeah, since nobody's been arrested. Yeah, but why would you arrest them? That's what you do in a honeypot. That's what they said. The FBI, what was it, Comey? Comey's been accused of running an undercover honeypot operation to get two ladies into the Trump orbit to try to get information, to try to get them caught up and bribed and blackmailed, corrupted. Yeah, why would you release the information if you still have these people, these busted people, as human assets? You know? I love this thought, Jeremiah, that Jeffrey Epstein, but yes, an Israeli spy, like Mossad. But the fact that he wasn't offed, he was just removed from that cell. You know, you find someone that looks somewhat like him and you put him in. I like to think that's what happened to John McAfee. Wouldn't that be something? I've interviewed John McAfee a couple of times. Interesting man. You just wonder, was he able to find a way? I don't know. But yeah, the Epstein thing has never made sense to me. I doubt he's gone. I at least say it's possible that he was just extracted. Maybe he's been singing behind the scenes. I don't know. Maybe he was an American asset all along. CIA, Mossad, some equivalent of that.
Has actually been put in prison as a result of what happened. Do you think by releasing information from these files, we are likely to see criminal actions being taken?
Absolutely.
Really?
I think it would be negligent for us not to. You have to hold individuals who are indeed rapists accountable. We have to have them tried, in my opinion. And I do believe in that. You know, nobody should be just dismissed. You have to have your time in court and your case will be heard. But to hide lists, to protect political friends, all of that, we don't have time for that.
There you go. Yeah, this was CNN Jake Tapper. Most laughably dishonest, pompous ass left-wing media. Writes a book about how they hid Biden's condition from America, and she's blasting Laura Trump. We played that earlier. Sean Ryan asking, do you think China owes America billions of dollars for COVID? There's a good question of the day. Here, let me put that in the chat. Jeremiah, for reference, when you post comments like that's true, what is true? When I glance at the comment, I don't know what you're referencing because it moves so fast. Try saying something like, that's true that such and such. And I'll go, oh yeah, good. I'm glad you agree that particular point's true. But when I glance at it, I go, I don't know what he's saying. So here, let's do question of the day. Does China owe America billions of dollars for their COVID attack on humanity? Does China owe America billions of dollars for COVID? Asked Sean Ryan. Yes. Hell or high water, find a way.
But Intel
around, through, or over. Figure it out. Here's Jesse Waters again. This is the probe into Comey, like I was telling you about.
But Intel doesn't like being told what to do. When they saw Musk with the chainsaw doging foreign aid, they started leaking to CNN. If you doge us, there will be consequences. On the CIA's 7th floor, home to top leadership, some officers are also quietly discussing how mass firings and the buyouts already offered to staff risk creating a group of disgruntled former employees who might be motivated to take what they know to a foreign intelligence service. The CIA is telling CNN that if their funding gets cut, they're going to sell state secrets to Russia. Who the hell hired these Benedict Arnolds?
Yeah. That's just so nutty. This one right here, Richard is reporting NATO is building massive base right on Romania's border with Ukraine, but we're expected to swallow the lie that it's a pure coincidence that Călin Georgescu, who openly opposes this base, lost his erection and then got arrested. Yeah, what's happening? We got to really pay close attention to Georgescu now. They're trying to Trump him. They're trying to Bolsonaro him. Georgescu was arrested, and then he's been released. The Romanian people were going to enact a revolution, so the NATO puppets had no choice. Well done, Romanians. You have the power, not NATO. Uh-oh, he touched his heart, and then he aimed in a general outward direction. Just like Elon did. Uh-oh. But look, he's out. That's a good thing. Listen. Question I would ask of any video, is this actual audio, or did they pump it in like the fake J6 committee did to try to make the mostly peaceful protest on J6 against our stolen election look crazier and more violent than it was by pumping in noises like Hollywood? So these noises are loud, but the people are clearly behind this guy, just like Bolsonaro, but the deep state is trying to run their bullshit. So who's going to win here? It's important that across the planet, each chess piece matters. You can't let any of these, Javier Milei called them shit leftists. You can't let them take an inch anywhere on the globe. No more. Every battle is a battle. Every battle is a battle worth having to remove the deep state tentacles, remove the claws that have sunk into these countries to ruin them, loot them, to just devour on their carcass like maggots until there's nothing left but bone. That's what the deep state is. I didn't know he was in Sweden like this. I want to see a crowd chant. Some of the crowd that we're talking about. It's for Georgescu, president. This is the guy that lost an election. Remember Bolsonaro in Brazil? People were everywhere, all over the streets for him. They sprung some criminal Lula to run as their deep state op, and oh no, we have to use these voting machines. Oh, do you? And then they tried to pull the same thing. Look, Joe Biden won. He's so popular. No. The people are behind the one that just got shafted here.
Cum sunteți? Foarte bine, nu mă surprinde nimic. Noi mergem înainte, poporul demonstrează, noi suntem România, noi suntem puterea și noi suntem această țară, iar această țară nu va sta în genunchi în fața nimănui. Toată omenirea știe ce se întâmplă în România cu acest sistem. Și nu pot decât să salut inițiativa de disperare.
Disperarea cui, domnule Georgescu? E disperarea de aici sau e disperarea de la Bruxelles?
Da, este o poziție bună. Nu este doar de aici, este combinată cu Bruxelles.
I swear to defend the country, even if it costs my life. For chanting. I'll defend Romania with my life.
Uite ce se întâmplă pe mașină, mai am un lucru.
But look, this is a story. If it's not on your radar, keep it on your radar. Yep. Name the most frequent Epstein Island visitors. Let's play a game. Okay. How about this? How about let's get your Mount Rushmore. If you had to guess 4 names from the Epstein list, you only get 4 guesses. You know, there's a lot of names. Give me 4 names that you think are surefire visitors of Epstein Island. You get 4 names. Give me 4 names. Should I eliminate Bill Clinton and Bill Gates from the list? Okay, Bill Clinton and Bill Gates are off the list. Nobody named Bill. Because those are known. Well, Bill Clinton is known to fly on the Lolita Express. Give me your top 6 names if you're guessing. Which celebrities, which politicians, which leaders of finance, which CEOs. There's a lot of names out there, but pretend it's Family Feud. Dun 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 dun. Yeah, I love this. Epstein files released. Here's a list, all redacted. Amuse here is reporting there's fake outrage at town halls that's being coordinated by a Soros-backed NGO called Indivisible. President Trump and his Doge efforts are overwhelmingly popular among Republicans and independents. Even a majority of Democrats approve of the cost cutting. So there's a Soros-backed couple filling GOP town halls with fake Republicans. This couple is behind Indivisible's anti-Doge agitation operation, targeting GOP town halls and flooding congressional phone lines. Leah Greenberg, Ezra Levin. Wow. Wow. Ezra Levin and Leah Greenberg. Oh. So this group doesn't want us to know that money's being stolen? They're concerned about money being stolen. They want to make it look bad that we find out where our money is being stolen and taken to, where it's being stolen from and where it's being money laundered to. Leah Greenberg and Ezra Levin. They have a war chest, $11.7 million, bolstered by $7 million from Soros. Wow. Is that a fact? Yeah, Soros backs real progress, open societies, justice, rights. This opposite day. I thought that this was a totally different comment. No, Soros does the opposite. Wow. Mario Nafal saying Starlink could replace Verizon and the swamp is panicking. The FAA is on a verge of canceling Verizon's bloated $2.4 billion contract and handing it to Starlink, a move that would bring faster, safer, and more reliable air traffic control services. Guess who's furious? The establishment. They're shrieking about conflicts of interest because Trump and Elon are putting efficiency over corruption. Verizon system? Outdated, expensive. Starlink? Faster, cheaper, and proven. SpaceX engineers are already fixing the FAA's mess. The real conflict of interest is how the old system still exists. The same grifters who let U.S. infrastructure rot are now crying foul when someone actually fixes it. Elon is right. Verizon is putting air travelers at risk, and Washington just hates that they're losing control. Source being the Daily Beast. Elon saying, to be clear here, the Verizon communication system to air traffic control is breaking down very rapidly. The FAA assessment is single-digit months of catastrophic failure, putting air traveler safety at serious risk. The Starlink terminals are being sent at no cost to the taxpayer on an emergency basis to restore air traffic control connectivity. The situation is extremely dire. Something to consider. Libs of TikTok here reporting Donald Trump's post. Donald Trump says drugs are still pouring into our country from Mexico and Canada at very high and unacceptable levels. A large percentage of these drugs, much of them in the form of fentanyl, are made in and supplied by China. More than 100,000 people died last year due to the distribution of these dangerous and highly addictive poisons. Millions of people have died over the last 2 decades. The families of these victims are devastated and, in many instances, virtually destroyed. We cannot allow this scourge to continue to harm the USA, and therefore, until it stops or is seriously limited, the proposed tariffs scheduled to go into effect on March 4th will indeed go into effect as scheduled. China will likewise be charged an additional 10% tariff on that date. The April 2nd reciprocal tariff date will remain in full force and effect. Thank you for your attention on this matter. God bless America. Check out our show from 2 days ago. Dan Bongino joining Cash at the FBI, and Obama should be terrified. That was a great Grok image for me. Brian Cates saying something people need to be aware of. Not only do the names of the victims need to be carefully guarded in the Epstein release, so do the names of anybody who was investigated by the grand juries but who has not been charged because there wasn't enough evidence to charge them. We don't try these kinds of cases in the press. You do not release the names first and then do your investigation to find out who you can build a successful case against and who you can't. That would have been doing it backwards. And this is not being done backwards. Not everybody who gets looked at by a grand jury is guilty. Of course not. Just because you're indicted doesn't mean you're guilty. Just because you're charged, just because paperwork's filed, having charges filed against you means nothing. Anybody could get charged. That doesn't even mean that a case is adopted. How many cases people get charged and then the nothing is ever filed because there's nothing there. In the heat of the moment, arrests are made in cases and people are booked. They might be charged with something, but they're not prosecuted because there's no there there. That's a good point. Maybe Brian Cates is referring to President Trump being investigated. I mean, there are pictures of them together. Epstein and Ghislaine, where they were definitely trying to get inside of Trump's world. Trump figured him out and kicked him out. So just being investigated doesn't mean you're guilty of anything. Anybody could be investigated. But when they've been able to find and prove and document who, that's very different from just a pure accusation. This is why GJ material is kept under seal. And those not grand jury, and those not charged, their names will never see the light of day. That's how our system works. There are a lot of irresponsible people out there, and they wouldn't care if someone the grand jury looked at didn't get charged because no evidence turned up. People would assume that person is guilty and publicly crucify them. This is why the identities of the targets in the grand jury investigation are kept secret, and only the targets where sufficient evidence was found to charge them as a crime are made public. The targets where there was insufficient or no evidence at all could be found against them, have their identities protected. And that's the way it should be. That's a good point. Here's Kevin O'Leary talking about Doge and what's going on there. He seems to be a fan.
Restoring the services and the jobs and the people that have been broken by this ridiculous process. The federal government is not a company that you take over. This may work on Shark Tank, but it's not a company that you take over and dismantle and sell for parts because you want to do it in a different way. You have to do things in accordance with the Constitution.
The smile is back. I think I know why. Kevin, what's your thought?
Federal government is fat, dripping with fat. 100 years of never being scrutinized, never been examined, never looking for any efficiencies. Finally, here's an individual that's willing to do it for free with extremely great executional skills, and people are uncomfortable. Don't worry about it. The American people want to know how much waste is evident. And I think they're getting answers, and it's not good. So, Tom, I love it. You're absolutely right. But frankly, just between you and I, he's not cutting enough,
Yep. And Elon responded, I do whatever I can. There are limitations placed upon me.
And the concept of private equity, when you find a broken, bankrupt company, you look at the spreadsheet, you say, okay, this is the original cut idea. You cut 20% more because it really hurts when you cut. You cut deep, you cut fast, you chop, you hack, and then you hire back because you don't want the trauma to everybody multiple times. I don't think he's doing enough. He's not cutting enough. We should cut more, 20% more. It's all fat. It's waste. There's so much waste in federal government. This is great for the American people.
Kevin, how can it be so great to then if it's to rehire? First of all, the number 20% just seems completely arbitrary. I don't know where you're basing that off of, other than it sounds like maybe an idea. But also, hold on, I want to hear your responses. But Kevin, it doesn't make efficiency sense to say I'm going to thrash and burn and then try to regrow everything and try to come back and figure out what I've done that was ineffective in the instance. Isn't an audit supposed?
That is sort of actually how you figure out what needs to stay sometimes. Yeah. You start from scratch. You throw out everything. In the floods in North Carolina, when I played that Hurricane Helene Help on the Way documentary, once again, if you haven't seen that on Rumble and YouTube, go to the New American Media on Rumble and YouTube, hit subscribe and watch that documentary. But yeah, we went to a church and there was mold, black mold everywhere because the river had flooded and it went up, 4 feet tall on the wall. You don't go piece by piece. You take it all out. You take it all out. You remove all the drywall everywhere. And then you go, oh, okay, I guess that piece wasn't bad. You're like, all right, well, better safe than sorry. You take things like sometimes you got to act fast. And the corrosive effects of a bloated government, a bloated, corrupt, anti-American government that staged a coup to overthrow this nation and weaponize our systems against us with our own money. Yeah, that's a flashing red light. You unplug it. You unplug everything from the wall if you're about to overheat. You're like, oh no, it might damage the ejectable device. Well, you know what? I'm not damaging the entire you have to immediately stop speeding toward the cliff. Oh, well, it might throw off the calibration on the engine if you just throw it into park. You could damage something. Yeah, well, you know what it's going to damage if you fly over the cliff? Everything is damaged. There's no coming back. It's a complete loss. If you drive this car over the cliff, loss of life, loss of everything. This thing's going to be compacted into a little cube, as if it were at a junkyard. But if you throw it in a park, yeah, you might damage components on the engine, but you can rebuild some of those and keep your body intact, keep your car intact, and make a few repairs. So, yeah, if you're screaming toward a cliff or a brick wall, man, throw that shit in park. Yeah, it might break something, but it didn't break everything and result in loss of life. So, I get the point. Use the scalpel. Don't use a meat axe. Everything is so corrupt. Everything needs to be unplugged, and let's only plug in the essentials. And if there's anything flashing as essential, we'll add that later. That's the only way to tell what's essential.
Supposed to be, I'm going to take an assessment, and then I'm going to decide the prudent course of action. Why is it while I'm auditing, I'm getting rid of, and then I'll figure out if it was a good idea? Would that work in your business?
Yes, you can't be surgically precision. There's no way to be surgically precision in this. You have to cut more because you just don't know. There's no way to do it. Remember, we've never audited government for 100 years. Never done this before.
We've never audited our government before. That is insanity, people. Insanity. According to Bricks News, Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate have officially left Romania and heading to the United States. Last week, President Trump pressured Romanian authorities to lift their restrictions. We're following that story. Check out our show from yesterday. MAGA budget mess, the new pope coming, ICE raids intensify, NSA dirty chat firings, the TNAM AM Show. That's supposed to be Thomas Massey sitting behind a huge bloated house budget. I got to work with AI each day to create me a new image. It is challenging. If it just did as I'm asking, it would be so easy. I'd be done in 30 seconds. But they give you so many wonky images. You got to really work to find the ones that are appropriate. Bill Gates saying 6% of global emissions are cows. You can either fix the cows to stop them doing that, or you can make beef without the cow. Mike Lee, do you ever want Bill Gates to shut up? Was he on the list? I don't know. All right, Bahezi here. George Bahezi tweets saying, this is genius. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick has an announcement about the Postal Service and the census. What's the idea? Let's take a listen.
So the concept was I'm sitting with the president, and the costs of the post office are it loses $7 billion. And he said, can you do something with it? And I said, sure. So I saw him the next day, he goes, okay, what do you got? He gives me a whole 24 hours to figure it out. And I said, well, the Commerce Department does the census. And we spend $40 billion every 10 years doing the census. And that means we hire 625,000 people. And they go and they rent cars and gas, and you pay them food. And you know what they do? They go to every household in America and count the people. What department do we already have that already employs 625,000 people? It's got cars, already has gas, goes to every household. Can you imagine saying to your postman, can you count the people in the house? What day could he do the census? Monday? Could he double check it on Tuesday? How about Wednesday? He goes every day. So we can only save $40 billion or $4 billion a year, and we'll do a better job. And you know what else we can do with the post office? They can go to your house when you have a baby and give you the form for Social Security. And the 20,000 Social Security offices that we have, we just don't need them. We actually can do real customer service. Go right to your house. Someone died, here's the forms, you can fill it out. I'll bring them to your house. Customer service, why? Because we've got those people. Let's use the assets of the government to make us better and save us money. We can be smart, you know, we're allowed.
I mean, right? Tell me if you got any issue with that. Hey, we can give a special shout out to Elsa Dale. Another BS podcast. I'm Elsa Dale. Yeah, thanks for coming and contributing with 0, pal. Who's the one that will show up? Kenneth, that'll show up and comment. T, the account on YouTube that goes by T. They'll copy paste their bullshit. It'll be like a sentence about how Trump is bad. It'll be a paragraph about how Elon is dumb. You're like, what? I don't get where these bots come from, where these sock puppet accounts come from. Another BS podcast. Another BS podcast. Hi, Elsa Dale. Am I pronouncing that right? Charlie Kirk reporting that real Christopher Rufo's NSA whistleblower has explained how starting in the Obama years, the NSA swerved from being an intelligence agency to becoming a full-time DEI agency. Employees were hired who never did any work except attending DEI meetings. Real employees were given the message that participating in DEI nonsense was the key to getting promoted. That's called nudge. The whole nudge system. Cass Sunstein. There we go. I was having a hard time remembering his name. Cass Sunstein. That's how you nudge society from being normal into whatever Obama is. A racial arsonist. The scummiest type of politician imaginable that will pit neighbor against neighbor, family against family, all for political power and control, you dirtbag. DEI stuff inside of the NSA. Good grief. Trying to engineer society. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, you're totally normal, Obama. Right. No, this DEI, it's the real deal. It's making America better. No, it's not. Real employees given the message that participating in DEI nonsense was the key to getting promoted. No, the key to getting promoted would be at the National Security Agency, Administration, Association, NSA. Administration? Agency? The key is doing your job. Just be efficient at your job. Be exceptional at your job. Don't care who you sleep with. Don't care what your skin looks like. Don't care about your genitals. Doesn't matter to me. What matters is, are you doing a good job? That's it. That's the only requirement I have. To prioritize any requirement other than your job description is madness. Madness. Analysts would refuse to provide information on American adversaries who were transgender because it would require using their dead name? Outrageous. The agency needs to be rebooted from the ground up. That is mind-blowing. Deep State kingpin James Comey now officially the target of a federal criminal investigation for illegally targeting the 2016 Trump campaign with sex operatives posing as Russians.
Break it down right now. A well-known example is Crossfire Hurricane, a notoriously unpredicated investigation of the 2016 Trump presidential campaign tainted by 4 FISA surveillance orders based on deliberately false information contained in opposition research. This was accompanied by an unprecedented infiltration of the campaign by multiple informants. Crossfire Hurricane further involved the potential entrapment of a cabinet-level appointee based on the pretext of an introductory intelligence briefing, and rather than target the Russian influencers and protect the unwitting campaign operatives, the FBI targeted the Trump presidential campaign through those operatives.
It's unreal. Yeah, Comey's going down. Roger Stone says, oh, hang on. You asked for it, Jeremiah. You asked for it. You did this. You made me, look what you made me do. We were talking about Bill Gates earlier. Kablamo. I don't support acts like this. I also don't support Bill Gates either. So you asked for the video. There it is. Bill Gates getting his comeuppance. Roger Stone says, I'm looking forward to full disclosure of the Epstein list, but more importantly, where are the DVDs and hard drives that the FBI retrieved from Epstein's safe when they raided his palatial home in New York City? Good point. Good question. Wait, what? Why are they saying this is a woman? Is this a guy? What is this story? Police made an arrest after a call by an activist group for a nationwide protest against Tesla CEO Elon Musk. A woman has been arrested after explosives were discovered at a Tesla dealership. Man. Lucy Grace Nelson, charged with explosives or incendiary device use, felony criminal mischief, and a criminal attempt to commit felonies after an investigation. Okay, what are we? Police and jail records list Nelson as a female, though the department noted an alias of Justin Thomas Nelson. Yeah, that's a guy. Justin Thomas Nelson. All right, that's what I was kind of getting at. Why did we wait so long to get to that? Anyway, incendiary devices Monday night. All right. Yeah, we got to watch it. Like I said, that's the problem with. Oh, wait, am I not sharing you that? Sorry, I wasn't even looking at. I thought when I scrolled, it would have switched to that, but I have to go back and double click it and make sure that it works. Yeah. So that's the problem with a pie in the face of someone we don't like. There's an escalation of violence. Woman arrested okay, that's a man. Arrested after explosives discovered at a Tesla dealership. When you start calling to violence, then it's an escalation. You really don't want that. So that's why I take a little bit of caution there. You're welcome, Jeremiah. You're welcome. All right. Tim Pool saying, here's what's happening. Transgender U.S. service members will be separated from the military, according to a Pentagon memo. Tim Pool says it's time to remove transgender from the lexicon. These are mentally discorded individuals that should be medically discharged. Libs of TikTok says, breaking Department of Defense just issued a sweeping memo to strengthen our military. It states that those with gender dysphoria are incompatible with the high and mental physical standards necessary for military service. Service members who have gender dysphoria are disqualified from military service. Service members who took cross-sex hormones or sex change surgery are disqualified from military service. Make the military great again. Yeah, like I said, I have a psychology degree. I've studied gender dysphoria. I had college professors that were just addicted to pushing this gender confusion stuff. I didn't understand exactly why they were so fascinated with the topic. I didn't buy into any of it at the time, and they've been pushing it for 30 years. So, I have, once again, to clarify my thoughts, anything you want to do at 18 years old with your own money, if it's not harming another person, I have no care in the world. You are free to do it. I would genuinely and strongly encourage you to reconsider if you want to mangle your perfectly functional body. You can be loved, and you are loved how you were created. You have fully functional sex organs, fully functional ejaculatory abilities, reproductive abilities. A lot of these surgeries that are, you can't become, a man can't become a woman can't become a man. You can mangle yourself and do some cosmetic procedures to more closely resemble the anatomy of somebody you were not born as, but you were born how you were born, and it's okay. You're loved. If you mess with your plumbing, I mean, it causes lifelong medical issues. Pills you have to take, super expensive pills, super expensive and time-consuming and revolting cleaning procedures to every day clean things out, or else it'll seal back together. I mean, I've researched this enough to know this is something you might not be fully aware of the consequences. And taking hormones, even at 18, you're not fully developed until you're 25. I mean, it's going to drastically rewire who you are, but you can never become something you're not. No amount of surgeries can take a rhinoceros and turn it into a giraffe. It just, you're something different. Potatoes and carrots grow in the ground. They're both fruits. I'm sorry, they're both vegetables, but you can never change a carrot into a potato. They're just different. And you'll lose your ability to ejaculate for the rest of your life. And that's the cheat code. Every human has a up, down, left, right, BA, select, start. Cheat code. By the way, question of the day. What was that cheat code to? Do you remember? Type it in the comments, please. Hit like, hit subscribe. It's a cheat code to one of the most relaxing things a human can go through. Having to hold a pee, having to hold a restroom visit, either number 1 or number 2, and finally getting to release and go, oh, that is such a relief. Eating a good meal after being very hungry for a long time. A nice cold glass of water when you are so thirsty. A great sneeze. A laughing till you're crying. And an orgasm. These are some of the best human emotions and some of the best feelings a human can get. So I don't want anyone to lose their ability. I'm pro-orgasm. And these hormone treatments and these radical surgeries can deprive a person of that orgasmic ability. So I'm against that. But if you want to get to 18 and you still want to pay your own money to do whatever you want, you can get the boob implant if you want. You can have any choppity chop surgery that you want. I'd encourage you not to, but you can because you're an adult. Just leave the kids alone and use the bathroom of the sex that you were assigned with. That's it. Yeah, a nice long leak. Oh, man. I've had too many times where it's like you have to wait too long and just like, I can't take this anymore. I've had to leak in some strange places because like when you gotta go, like you're full. Like I got nowhere else to put all of this. He said, put up your dukes. I'm a goat. I ain't got no dukes. He said, you gotta pee. I ain't got nowhere to pee. Well, I'm gonna pee. So that's my philosophy. Like, yes, it is gender dysphoria. Yes, it is a mental condition. Yes, we have compassion and empathy, and you are loved. You're loved how you're built. If you're a flat-chested woman who's staying a woman, but you're being shamed for not having larger breasts, you shouldn't be guilted or pressured or convinced or coerced into getting a breast implants. And by the way, there's a lot of the health issues related with breast implants. If you're not aware, birth control and breast implants are not completely safe. Shocking. But honestly, I grew up in a world where like that kind of was the assumption. It's just like, well, if they're doing it, it's got to be safe. No, that's not how it works. So my thoughts on being transgender, it's like, fine. But like, yeah, you need to be mentally tough. You have to be focused and ready. And you're working through a dysphoria. You're convinced that you're something that you're not. And that's not the case. You are a human being built with love. And if you're convinced you got to be something else, like there's some stuff going on we got to work with. And is that military ready? It's been ruled that you're not. I really want Bobby Kennedy to focus on restoring the health and wellness, the mental wellness of Americans, humanity in general, but Americans especially. Amy Vanderpool reporting this despite an appeals judge ordering Trump to resume nearly $2 billion in wasted payments. Supreme Court Justice John Roberts on Wednesday night granted a respite to the Trump administration as it seeks to keep billions of dollars in foreign aid frozen. That's huge. That is a huge win for humanity. Still waiting to see if the Epstein list is going to be announced. So yeah, the Supreme Court Justice John Roberts jumped in on Wednesday and said, hey, Trump administration can cut. You know, you don't get to tell them no. And so it's been kicked back to the other side now. We'll see where this goes. He's either the commander-in-chief or he's not. Yeah, Supreme Court has now blocked a lower court's order by Canadian judge. Why is a Canadian allowed to be a judge in America? This is a policy that should be changed. If you are not an American, you have no right to be a judge of us. It's like in our homeowners association, the mini city. If you're not a homeowner in our homeowners association, you do not have the right to govern. Why is a foreigner acting as a judge in our nation? That should be illegal. Judge Amir Ali from Canada tried to force the Trump administration to pay $2 billion in foreign aid. There it is. Josh Dunlap, Supreme Court sided with Trump, blocking the lower court's order and forcing Trump administration to give aid to foreign countries. All right, well, here's a story. Here's a story that we reported earlier. We're unpacking it. The last known photo of Gene Hackman, 95 years old, and his wife. Both were found deceased in their home along with their dog. Was this a suicide pact? Was this malevolent intent? Was this carbon monoxide? I was like, natural gas. That's not it. Was it carbon monoxide poisoning? I don't know. Yeah, it is weird. I don't know how a Canadian judge is allowed to be in the United States. Makes no sense to me. But yeah, legendary actor Gene Hackman, his wife Betsy Arakawa, and their dog. Well, what's the dog's name? Tell me the dog's name. The Santa Fe County Sheriff says there was no immediate indication of foul play. Hodge twins, rest in peace, but how did all of them die at the same time? Mindy Robinson, they don't suspect foul play? Get the flying F out of here. Betsy was 63. What's their dog's name? Now I want to know. They just keep saying their dog. But it could have been a carbon monoxide leak. That actually makes a lot of sense. Were they poisoned? I am very curious. Oh, that post is not available. Our sports betting sites taking bets on this. And that was who is going to be on the Epstein list. Brian Cates again saying this is what you're going to discover over the next couple of months as the Epstein-Maxwell child sex trafficking ring developments can occur. 1, it's an international scandal, worldwide. CIA, Mossad, perhaps. 2, many of the criminals and the victims are not U.S. citizens. They are from over 20 different countries. By the way, question of the day, without looking, how many countries are there? I just had this conversation at open mic night when I was performing stand-up comedy. Yeah, Kenneth, blaming carbon monoxide. I blame global warming for that death. Not because he was 95. I blame global warming. Exactly. Here, we'll go like that aspect ratio. That's fine. It's easier to read. Well, if you don't, I did learn how many countries there are. Take a guess. Another question of the day. In one sentence, say, I would guess there are this many countries in the world. Because there's 2 answers. There's one answer, and then the second answer is 2 more if you add this place and that place, which are not added. The 2 that are not added are Palestine and the Vatican. So the number before Palestine and Vatican, and then the number after. I'll accept those. Kenneth says 110. Please place your bets. Place your bets. Place your bets. Step right up. Step right up and bet on how many countries are worldwide involved in this international scandal. And Terrence and Phillip. Oh, shit. You're watching from Canada. I call it Canada intentionally. Terrence and Phillip. I'm not your buddy, guy. I'm not your guy, pal. I'm not your pal, buddy. I don't know why I jumped into Terrence and Phillip voice, but that was kind of funny. I was more like doing breaking. I was kind of doing like World War II reporter voice. Anyway, it's an international scandal worldwide. In how many nations? They're saying from over 20 different countries. Yes, there are more than 20 different countries. Point number 3, it took time to create an international task force and do the investigations of all the people inside the U.S. and several other countries. 4, here in the U.S., grand juries were seated and sealed indictments are waiting to be unsealed. However, not everybody who was targeted had an indictment returned. So if they looked at everybody, of course, they could have looked at President Trump, anybody they've been in contact with. But if they didn't find any evidence that anything happened, no, you don't mix those in. You tell us the ones that we know. Let's open up the box of strawberries, blackberries or raspberries. Let's dump them onto a plate, and let's peel out the ones. Any of them have worms in them that have been eaten. And like I opened one the other day, had the worm in it. I'm like, meh. Any of them starting to turn fuzzy and moldy, remove them from the rest because it'll poison the rest of the other ones. They'll turn moldy. You separate. So yeah. Jackie B here saying Trump is governing like he's been shot, indicted, investigated, impeached, and has no shit left to give. He's doing exactly what he promised us and exactly what we voted for, and it's glorious. Could anybody disagree with that point? Here is Elon talking about what the woke mind virus is, because this is a nationwide, this is a global phenomena. Let's just kind of take a listen. Mario Nafal posted this, and then Elon responded. So here we go.
To summarize maybe the woke mind virus, it consists of creating very, very divisive identity politics. So it actually amplifies racism, amplifies, frankly, sexism, and all the isms. And while claiming to do the opposite, it actually divides people and makes them sort of hate each other, and it makes people hate themselves. And it's also anti-meritocratic. It's not merit-based. So you want to have people succeed based on how hard they work and the talents, not who they are, whether they're man, woman, what race or gender. It's an artificial, mental civil war that is created, and it's not
mental civil war.
And let me tell you, it's no fun. Okay, it is like. Woke mind virus and fun are incompatible. There's no fun in that. No joy. Woke mind virus is all about condemning people instead of celebrating people. Like when in the woke, it just doesn't celebrate. It's all about condemning and being divisive and being I think it's just evil, frankly.
I agree. By the way, if I'm going off of memory, but I believe there are 193 nations on planet Earth, 195 if you bump up Palestine and the Vatican, which you don't. So it's 193. Elon was just elaborating on this. He goes, this is what I mean by the woke mind virus. The more I learn, the more insidious and deadly it appears. Maybe the biggest existential danger to humanity is having it programmed into the AI, as is the case for every AI besides Grok. Even for Grok, it's tough to remove because there is so much woke content on the internet. For example, when other AIs were asked whether the global thermonuclear war or misgendering was worse, they picked the latter. Yeah, misgendering is worse than global thermonuclear war. The existential problem with that extrapolation is that a super powerful AI could decide that the only 100% certain way to stop misgendering is to kill all humans. Oh my God. You don't want that now, do you? This is interesting. So we reported on this yesterday. This post is unavailable. Okay. So here we go. Ian Miles Chong, judges blocked a Trump order that paused refugee admissions. I guess this is a different subject then. Judge ruled that refugee admissions must continue. Jamal Whitehead. But I don't think this is the one that the Supreme Court jumped in on. Elon says another judge violating the will of the people. And then we said it's insane that a judge can overrule a president who is stopping an illegal alien invasion. Do we need SCOTUS to step in and make a ruling to see if activist judges can overrule a presidential order as commander-in-chief tasked with keeping America safe? We tag SCOTUS blog. This person said numerous laws written by Congress and passed by presidents exist regulating all three branches of government, including the executive. The judiciary has exactly the power that they are exercising right now. Well, we said perhaps in cases involving the blockage of presidential orders, we can design a fast track or express lane to the Supreme Court to make a prompt decision. Saving America is too important to allow the distraction techniques from the people hell-bent on destroying us. And so, yeah, SCOTUS did just jump in on that other issue, but I believe that was just funding. That was a funding issue that they jumped in on. I don't think it was for this one, for the illegal alien invasion. This one, Liz Churchill, saying that we need arrests now. This is a Dr. Thompson fully admitting that he and the CDC covered up some stuff that might have caused autism-like symptoms. Check that report out. I'm not allowed to share it with you because I'm on YouTube. Google, Instagram, Meta. Oh, God, here's another one I can't talk about. This is Johnny Midnight. Check out our X feed and scroll back and check these stories about. Former CIA Robert David Steele is saying that children are being bred and sold, and it is so much worse than you understand. It may frazzle you to learn some of these things. Yeah, I don't even want to listen to it again, but it's way worse than you know. You go down that rabbit hole, it's tough to, it'll change you. Here's Glenn Beck talking about Fort Knox. And by the way, this is what we're fighting for, to stop this shit. You know what this shit is? We want to get you on tape doing some bad stuff. We get you on tape doing some bad stuff, then guess what? We're going to own you forever. And by the way, everybody else in these positions of power, they had to do bad stuff because we needed the blackmail on them. How else are we going to ensure that everybody stays in line? You get it yet? Are you understanding what Epstein is yet? The greatest nation on earth is the donation. The donation. Okay. Oh yeah, the pedophiles. Oh yeah, it's so much worse. Being bred to be killed and being, I don't even want to talk about it. It's so bad. Here's Glenn Beck talking about Fort Knox. Yes, we have put in to go to Fort Knox. We would love to be part of the journalistic team that could meet there and document what we witness. Here's Glenn Beck breaking it down. Where's the gold? Well, let's have a chat about it.
I really believe if we check all four vaults, there's got to be gold in all four, right? I mean, if it wasn't that way, America would be over. But we're only asking to see this vault and only one room, possibly in dozens of rooms. We need to see all of them. And then we also need to see all of the vaults like at the same time, because could you imagine? I mean, you know, you're sitting there and you're like, okay, I'm going to go to Fort Knox. Look, it's there. And why don't you join us next week? Because next week we're going to go to West Point. Yeah, see, it's there. And then next week we're going to go to Denver. And look, it's there. And then we're going to go to... We have to open them all at once to make sure that we're not just moving gold, the same gold. In the late 1980s, an author named Christopher Weber was summoned to Virginia farm of a wealthy businessman named Edward Durrell. Durrell had spent over a decade and tens of thousands of dollars researching the status of U.S. gold reserve. Durrell's research led him to conclude that there was basically no gold left at Fort Knox. We don't know. Essentially, he claimed the gold had been siphoned off to the Federal Reserve in New York and eventually sold to Europe. Well, that could have happened. Durrell was nearing the end of his life and wanted Weber to write a book based on all of his research.
And by the way, we did We shared this video with you a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, when the Fort Knox story was coming out. It was like a 5 or 10 minute documentary, and everything Glenn is saying is stuff that we reported a week or two ago. So if you want to be on top of the news, make sure you're following the New American Media. Subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, hit the heart button. If you're watching on YouTube, do the thing and go pop, 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 pop. Little bunch of hearts go up. You can do that on Facebook as well. But yeah, we played this video and broke it down. I know exactly what he's talking about here. Let's get back to Glenn. But I have a point that I want to make. I'll listen to a little bit more Glenn, and then I'll make the wider point about Glenn saying we need to open up all the vaults at once. I get where he's coming from. That's good. That's better than opening one and then waiting and then maybe going to another. I get it, but I have something even better.
Weber had previously helped write a 1982 book by Congressman Ron Paul titled The Case for Gold. Weber went on to write about Durrell's research, including an interesting visit Durrell received from the General Accounting Office in 1975. Durrell had hounded government officials for months, including the Treasury Secretary and Congressman, about the status of America's gold. The GAO sent 4 agents to his home to try to convince him that it was all there, buddy. It was just a few months after that Fort Knox visit I mentioned earlier when a group of journalists and politicians were allowed to view one of the vault rooms full of gold. One of the GAO agents admitted to Edward Durrell and later confirmed in a letter to him that, quote, "We analyzed, as agreed, the gold bar schedules for Fort Knox and found that fine gold in good delivery form, 9.995 or better, at Fort Knox totaled 24 million ounces of gold from the 701 million ounces that were supposed at the peak." So wait, I mean, that's less than 10% of the 264 million that we have. What happened to it?
Yeah. Yeah, there's more to that story about the receptionist and someone dying and being thrown out of a window. And yeah, there's a lot going on. But I like the idea that you need to run these audits all at once. I understand it. I appreciate it. I get it. That's cool. But that's not the way to handle this. The way you handle it is you go ahead. Let me switch the aspect ratio again. You bring in the smelting machines. I don't care what it takes. We're engineers. We can build any damn thing we want. You need to build a big warehouse. You need to build an ancillary building on site, a temporary building, a big tent. There's a lot of these construction projects. It's like you buy a large garage shell, and then you can either install it yourself or you can pay a crew to install it. You bring in the smelters. You bring in industrial sized smelters, and you melt down every damned one of those bars. I don't mean some. I don't mean an audit of some. You cut some in half. You run the test and do a drip test. No. You smelt and I don't care how long it takes. You're the military. You can figure it out. You're Fort Knox. You can figure this out. Oh, it's too big. It'll be too expensive. No. What you do see, you go ahead. Fort Knoxers. No, not knockers, Fort Knoxers. Oh, you were there in 2000 at Fort Knox? Part of the Armor Division. Whoa, okay. For the Canadian? Were you a Royal Canadian Mountie? I don't know. What is the Armor Division? That's Canadian service, or are you an American living in Canada? I don't know. But here's what you do. You bring in the smelting machines. You remelt every last bar in that place. Because the story is that they're tungsten. A majority of the bar, maybe the ones you see that are on the outside, they are actual gold, but all the rest behind it, they're fake. It's been looted, stolen, and given to the private banking cartel known as the Federal Reserve private bank, the banksters. So no, I wouldn't trust any of that. If you smelt it, you dealt it. Yeah. Smelt it to find out who dealt it. That's exactly right. And then what you do is you put a stamp on it. You put a new stamp when you pour a new form. And what you say is, you put a stamp of MAGA on every gold bar. And you maybe have it MAGA, and you say, make America golden again. Because on this date, and maybe there's a way you could, maybe there's a way you could put some sort of code, some sort of way to like number all of these bars, and that no bar shall ever leave this place unless each bar is specifically accounted for by its unique serial number. That'll take forever. Oh my gosh, could you imagine the thousands of dollars that would take? That would take so much time, you guys. That would take like a lot of time and probably cost you money. Like maybe $1 million to pour a form, to melt some shit and pour it into the forms. How long is this? There's like a quadrillion bars. You melt every one of them. You give them a unique serial number. Bar number 11503. Bam. 11504. Bam. Make America golden again. 11505. Stamp. Make America golden again. You get to brand yourself as the golden era of America. Literally now. Because they've been using Scott Adams and Donald Trump, and they all keep saying the golden age. We're entering the golden age. Make America gold-backed again? I like it. That's the only way you're going to know. And then you remelt and you put brand new serial numbers on the other bars that go in. Set up a system, set up a process. Unless you're lying to us. So I'm not going to believe anything. How could you possibly believe anything that you see? Here is Liz Churchill reporting. This is General Flynn talking with Benny Johnson. I am so ready for this. All right, raise your hand if you're sure. I am sure that I'm excited for this. Let's check this conversation out. Justice coming for the treasonous actors who targeted Trump.
We got whistleblowers coming out of the woodwork, and we're funneling it into the right governmental offices to do the right things. And let me tell you, these people are busted. And so for Jim Comey, that's what I said earlier. Jim, if you get this message, start thinking about what you're gonna give up, because you're gonna give up some of your freedom because you're gonna go to jail. You must go to jail because of what you did. But maybe they'll cut.
By the way, look at Michael Flynn. Does he remind you of anybody right off the jump? Does he resemble anyone? You know? To me, he looks like he could be James O'Keefe's uncle or grandpa or dad or something. He looks like an O'Keefe. Maybe I'm the only one that sees that. Anyway, here we go.
Cut you a little bit of a deal, and they'll put you in a softer prison for a shorter period of time because you're able to give up some evidence on some of these other people who are even more deeper than you involved in this. Because Jim, you know exactly who I'm talking about. We got whistleblowers.
There you go. All right. This is the House Doge Subcommittee. Tim Burchett. Is this okay? This was so good. I want you to understand this. I want it to be unpacked, and I want you to. Tim Burchett out of Tennessee is a superstar. The way he conducted this meeting, it is an absolute masterclass. I want you to watch this.
$40 million a week to the Taliban.
Yes, sir.
Can you name other instances of foreign aid going to terrorist organizations?
We have assisted al-Shabaab in Somalia. There's been instances of the Khamsi network in Sudan, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, Hezbollah, Kataib al-Hezbollah, Hayat Tahrir al-Shams in Syria. Dozens of terror organizations have received indirect assistance from U.S. foreign aid.
Could you elaborate a little bit on the mechanisms in place that are to stop foreign aid from going to terrorist groups, and why are they not working if we have any in place?
Sure.
And I would note that these are, you notice these are terrorist weaponry. You see some AKs, SKSs, some snipers, some clips, some clip carriers, probably made in China. And I believe these are small landmines here beside right there.
Let's use Gaza as our case study. $2.1 billion in American taxpayers' money to Gaza since October 7th when Hamas invaded southern Israel. USAID money was going in terms of an emergency use authorization to try to go to parties that USAID formerly had a relationship with in the Gaza Strip. They had to have been vetted by OFAC. They should have been vetted against the special designated terror list from the State Department and from other Treasury organizations. Waivers were granted because they said that there was an emergency use to have that money come in to Gaza, thereby jettisoning the usual typical screening procedures. As a result, 90% of aid that was going from the United States by way of its agents in Gaza ended up in Hamas-controlled areas. And this is ridiculous. Essentially, what the U.S. assistance to Gaza did was underwrite the ability for Hamas to survive until the ceasefire was just passed a few weeks ago.
Unreal.
There was no strategic thought for it, and there was no screening.
Seems like the emergency might have been armed terrorists to kill civilians. Would that be accurate?
That's accurate, and even more than that, Samantha Powers, the administrator for USAID, was intent on having Israel not be able to defend itself.
To not be able to defend it.
Correct.
Mr. Primorak, is that correct? How do you say that? Primorak? I got Burchett, man. Nobody gets mine right, so don't worry about it. What is it? Primorak?
Perfect.
All right, thanks, brother. How did terrorists exploit our foreign aid loopholes?
Well, we have a lot of our international.
Can you pull your mic up? I'm sorry.
This is just such a it is brass tacks. He's staying on point. The witnesses have been prepped. They know what to say. They know how long they're supposed to say doing it. Bravo to him and his team. Seriously.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
You have international NGOs and UN agencies actively lobby here in Washington, D.C. against vetting policies that would prevent it. I was the senior vetting officer at USAID, and what we did.
Did you say United Nations is doing this? The UN?
Sure, everybody who's getting money lobbies here.
That they're lobbying against us. I'm sorry, Mr. Roman.
There's actually someone who used to work for one of those lobbies, the largest NGO lobby, Interaction. One of our co-witnesses here worked for them from 2018 to 2023. USAID effectively self-funds its own external private lobby that then goes back to Congress and asks for more money for USAID.
So the taxpayers fund this lobbyist who's working against American interests.
Correct.
Possibly killing our allies and possibly Americans.
They bring together groups in Washington that oversees work with groups that kill Americans.
Yeah, I don't need a flow chart to show that. I appreciate it. Do you think USAID programs have been aligned with the national security interests of the U.S.?
No, they have not. They have actually helped China.
Mr. Roman?
Helping China.
No. Okay. How do these programs compromise our national security, Mr. Primorak?
They actually push China. They actually push much of the world towards China on the green energy agenda. They push people, ordinary people, billions of people towards China because of the resentment caused by our social re-engineering.
Are we being lobbied by these pro-communist China groups currently?
Well, a lot of these countries don't even have to lobby because they get the money anyway, like South Africa.
Yeah, and in fact, these lobbyists have come to the House and have tried to kill legislation like H.R. 160, which was meant to increase transparency in USAID's funding of overseas organizations.
Is that a current piece of legislation?
That's from the last session.
And give me that number again.
H.R. 160.
And what does it do?
It was meant to give U.S. lawmakers the ability to have higher transparency in terror financing investigations aimed at scrutinizing extremist groups.
Mr. Primorak?
We had a regulation before we left in the last administration that anybody who touches money in countries where there's terrorists, those names have to go through databases, terrorist databases. That was overturned by Biden.
Overturned by Biden. Chair Lady, I have 5 seconds, but I wanted to mention something. There's a lot of rhetoric used on this committee, and I would urge my friends on both sides of the aisle, let's stick to the actual information. This rhetoric is, I've received death threats, and I know the chair lady has, and it needs to stop. We need to tone it down. Thank you, chair lady, and thank you.
Yeah, they're pushing.
Mr. Roman,
Once again, that's my problem with the pie to the face, because they think violence is acceptable. They try to praise Luigi Mangione, and these guys are getting death threats because they're trying to stop the wasteful spending. Of course, we want to stop the wasteful spending. But the mobs in the streets, they're paid by USAID. They're paid by all these NGOs. They're paid by looting Americans to fund our enemies. There was a whole laundry list of literal enemies in all these other countries, but it's happening inside of our country as well. Death threats. You know, like, this has to be unplugged. This is such a traitorous, destructive, divisive, demonic series of manipulation and control that the deep state has hoisted upon us. Once again, watch the whole speech from Mel Gibson talking about a recall Gavin Newsom event. It's 6.5 minutes. It's worth watching. Here's another conversation that General Flynn is having. General Flynn knows what's up. He knows the writing on the wall.
I want people to understand that Trump's strategy for what he is doing right now, very calculated and very purposeful. And now that he's got his team on board, he had his first cabinet meeting today. And now that he's got his team on board, that you can see that, you know, the guns are coming out metaphorically, right? And Comey is going to be one of the first targets, because what is going to happen, and this is why I think you're absolutely right, that within the next probably 60 days or so, we're going to hear about indictments coming against him and others. You know, there are going to be grand juries sealed and such, and that kind of stuff will go along. But between Cash, Dan Bongino, Pam Bondi, President Trump, and then others of us that are involved in some of these aspects of what we're trying to do, Comey is going to fold. And he's going to fold like a cheap cigar. And it won't just be Jim Comey, because Jim Comey is going to be asked about, well, who else knew about it? Did you brief Barack Obama? Did you brief the Attorney General at the time? Did you speak to Jim Clapper? Did you speak to John Brennan?
Yes. He's going to fold, and he's going to point. Yeah, we could just say now, Jim Comey didn't off himself. You need to protect him now from the Epsteiners.
Did you speak to Susan Rice? Did you speak to Sally Yates? Who else was part of this conspiracy to undermine, at the time, the candidate of a major political party, Donald J. Trump, during the 2016 timeframe? And then all of that then led into Russiagate, right? Led into the initial components of the coup to basically take down America, destroy this country as we know it, and turn it into part of the one world order that the globalists want. And he's not going to get away with this. So Jim Comey ought to go to the tall man's shop, get measured for an orange jumpsuit, and because he's going to go to prison whether he likes it or not.
Let's go. Here's James Comey. Oh my God. Maybe the video of the day. This is absolutely fantastic. Let me get out of the frame here. This is Owen Schroyer from InfoWars. He's at a James Comey event. Check this out.
Yeah! James Comey! James Comey! The fired FBI director, James Comey! The deep state hero, James Comey! The Democrat hero, James Comey! You did it! He illegally investigated Donald Trump. Thank you, Comey, for weaponizing the FBI against Donald Trump. Thank you for covering up Hillary Clinton's crimes and setting the stage for the FBI to cover up the Biden crimes too. Come on, y'all. Let's hear it for James Comey. Come on, we love the FBI. We love the federal government. Why? You don't love the FBI? You guys don't appreciate James Comey weaponizing the government against Donald Trump? Come on, James. You should be happy. Donald Trump is the bad guy. We should be happy Comey weaponized the government against Trump. What the heck? I don't understand. He's a hero. I'm so excited. I don't know why these people aren't as excited as me. Sorry, my excitement, officer.
So good.
She'd like me to call me a magnanimous occasion for me. And, oh, you'd like me to leave? Oh, she'd like me to leave. She'd like me to Comey can stay, though, right? Comey's cool, right? We love Jamie Comey.
Yeah, he didn't disrupt the library.
James Comey, he just disrupted the whole country. Yeah, he didn't disrupt the library. James Comey just disrupted the entire country and a presidential election and a presidential term for Donald Trump. So, but wow, I mean, my heart is just fluttering that I got to see James Comey.
That might be the video of the day. That is freaking bravo. Freaking bravo. Okay. Libs of TikTok is saying that this is MSNBC's newest anchor. Okay. Have fun with that. A Georgia judge just ordered Fani Willis to testify under oath before the Senate about hiring her boyfriend to illegally go after President Trump. We'll see you soon, Madam DA. Senator Greg Dolezal says. Fani has already been disqualified from the case, so now she has to answer for the plot that she tried to pull. It's so over for us. Look at that look on her face. Order denying motion to dismiss or quash application to enforce witness subpoena and subpoena Ducis Tectum of Senate Special Committee of Investigations. Is there a point to this video? Or just her looking uncomfortable and magnanimous? Okay, I guess that's the point of the video. She's busted. Judge Shukura Ingram issued the smackdown order. I'm posting this just in case Fani Willis tries to blame white supremacy for this ruling. Ooh. Well, thank you, Judge Shukura Ingram. Appreciate you. Here's the look on your face when you've screwed over yourself and the party that helped you is no longer in power. Her best option for leniency is to squeal until the cows come home. Fani Willis did not off herself. I'll be the first to say it. All right, what else did I want to get to on today's program? We're finding pirates every day. Buckle up, folks. Tamar Eisen. Am I sharing the right nope. Gotta switch the aspect ratio. I'm gonna fix the aspect ratio. Here, side by side. God, it's so perfect without the comments, but I want the comments. If I could keep that the size it is and then shrink me in half, or shrink me by 25%, and then 25% could be on this side. I know what I want to do. I can't design it. So how do I fix that? Tamar Eisen, according to Mila Joy here, and this is shared from, where did this get shared from? USA Democratic, what is this? Democratic Institute for International Affairs, DNI, Democratic National Institute. All right. Tamar Eisen, daughter of Norm Eisen, the mastermind behind a slew of lawsuits targeting Doge's effort at USAID, was a key player at a shady DC nonprofit that's been swimming in millions from you. You guessed it, USAID. The Democratic National Institute, NDI, just pulled a sneaky move, scrubbing its page that proudly boasted about guzzling USAID funds. Coincidence? We think not. Tamar was strutting her stuff as a programs officer for NDI's Gender, Women, and Democracy team for almost 3 years. Talk about a jaw-dropping conflict of interest. This bombshell has Swamp Creature written all over it. We're asking for the files, and well, we're waiting. Well, Judge Schmalls. Roseanne, yeah, we're all in the point and laugh plan. Just point and laugh at Democrats. They're absolutely ridiculous, and the ridiculousness should be pointed out. Okay, I went sideways on the stories. Bear with me. I'm just going to scroll and see what I left off of the table today while we wrap up. Still waiting for the Epstein files to drop. Where did we go? We went down to these judges are gone, and Gene Hackman passed away. Here's Trump. Here's Elon. Here's the CIA director about children. Glenn Beck, Comey. Okay, we lost it on Comey. Mel Gibson. Here's more Comey. All right, there was our video of the day. Friggin' awesome. Yeah, we lost on Fannie Willis. There we go. Are we back to Fannie Willis? Good. Yeah, and this was DOJ revealing that there are ongoing Epstein-Maxwell investigations. Yes. Oh, you want to hear one of the dumbest things ever? Look, check out AOC. Check AOC out.
Doge did not exist 2 years ago. 19-year-olds were not raiding the Treasury 2 years ago.
Raiding the Treasury. Pointing out how $3.7 trillion has been raided without any connective code. Nobody can track it. That is who has been raiding the Treasury, by the way, AOC.
People who have no idea with medical background have not been hauling in and creating kangaroo courts for scientists to dismiss them 2 years ago.
Medical kangaroo court? What are you talking about?
That started happening now. Elon Musk
2 years ago. Don't you mean 1 month ago? Why are you saying 2 years ago?
is not a scientist. He is not an engineer. That started
I'm
happening
sorry, what was this?
now. Elon Musk is not a scientist. He is not an engineer.
Yes,
he is
he
a
is.
billionaire con man with a lot of money.
You don't think Elon is an engineer? You don't think Elon is a scientist? He's traveling to the center of the earth and into outer space, but he's not a scientist or an engineer. Cool story, kiddo.
He does not have this kind of good background.
Good background. Good background. What?
And in fact, while there's some disruption over that, I sincerely ask you all to examine what expertise he has in approving medical devices, in biomedical engineering devices. And if you all think that he is an expert in that, I've got a bridge to nowhere to sell you.
I think the Democrat Party issues a bridge to nowhere to sell you every time they roll out a new policy.
These are people's lives that are on the line, and we cannot laugh them away. Genuinely, please, I am asking you to please support this amendment for the people who have medical devices stuck in their body. Thank you, and I yield back.
Gentlelady. Not an engineer, not a scientist. Yeah, check this out. Boxing legend Floyd Mayweather has some stuff to say about Donald Trump. Here we go. More people are, the Trump effect, the golden age, the golden era upon us. More people are speaking out, and they're not scared to say, I do support this guy. I think that's a good thing for society as we heal.
At least I'm happy, but we're never happy. When we had Trump before.
This is kind of quiet.
We didn't appreciate him, but we're never happy. When we had Trump before, we didn't appreciate him, but I think Trump is a great president. Actually, he's the best president in my eyes. He's the best president we ever had. Great businessman, and that's what it's about.
Yeah, and the way the day's cabinet thing, you probably went around here. It was really phenomenal.
I agree.
To the point you talked about putting together a great team.
Yes,
put together a fantastic cabinet.
Trump has done an amazing job, and a lot of people around America are upset. But no matter who goes in the White House, we're always upset.
Right.
And I think Trump is the man for the job. He's the best president in my eyes.
I also been reading.
At least
agreed. I do concur. All right, what else do we want to get to? That might be about it. Just saying, look, they're releasing Epstein, Diddy, 9/11, JFK, RFK, MLK. We want Marilyn Monroe. We want Michael Hastings. We want Seth Rich. Marilyn Monroe, Michael Hastings, Seth Rich. Here's Jasmine. Here's Jasmine Crockett, the star of the Democrat Party, apparently. It's almost like you don't want to hear her talk because she's annoying and because she's backward on almost everything she says. But then again, the stupider she sounds, the better it is for the Republicans. So, talk more, please. Breitbart News saying what she says here might be Guam may tip over levels of stupid, if you remember that quote. Here we go, Jasmine Crockett.
Instead, we're pushing conspiracy theories, and some of them are killing people. It's the same thing that we have coming out of Doge. It's the reason that people are dying. It's the reason that farmers are losing their farms.
Doge is why people are dying, and Farmers are losing their farms. Okay, clever.
Because we continue to peddle conspiracy theories.
Yeah, you're not. What do you define? What? Yeah. Remember 5 years ago, everything that we know now that we were saying 5 years ago was labeled a conspiracy theory, misinformation, disinformation, and we were blocked from social media. We couldn't exist. We couldn't earn an income. We couldn't speak. We lost our First Amendment rights. Couldn't be on Facebook. Couldn't be on Meta. Couldn't be on YouTube. Couldn't be on Twitter. Remember that? The difference between a conspiracy theory and a fact is usually about 6 months. Usually about 2 to 3 years. Of course, not every case, but no one gets to decide what's a conspiracy theory. And that phrase is something we need to stop using. Anyone using that phrase is being disingenuous. You're using speech that's not our pre-approved speech, is what they're saying.
It is time for us to say, Mr. President, guess what? Russia invaded Ukraine. Can we at least agree on that one?
What? There are decades of encroachment from NATO when the United States in 2014 overthrew the real democratically elected president to install your puppet, Zelensky, so that he could start pushing and pushing and pushing so we could get a proxy war going with Russia? That one, the one Victoria Nuland, Barack Hussein Obama, and Joe Biden started? All of that aggression, and Russia repeatedly said, you need to back off, back off, back off, and they refused. They were hell-bent on pushing and starting, poking the bear with a stick and then yelling at the bear for snapping back. Is that what you're saying, Jasmine Crockett? Is that what you're saying? And by the way, there were ceasefire deals put out there to stop it right off the bat. No land would have been lost. Hundreds of thousands of families would still be intact. But no, the deep state had to keep pushing for this. The military-industrial complex had to get their next war, didn't they?
Facts matter. Y'all, this is literally potentially putting us into an international crisis. We may be heading towards the next world war because we have a president that wants to pal around with Putin and wants to do everything to make him feel good, including lying about who invaded who.
Yeah. Trump's efforts to negotiate peace in Ukraine mean that we're headed toward the next world war. No, you and your idiot party were trying to steer us headfirst into a nuclear world war with Russia, and we're trying to stop it. Yeah, Pepperidge Farm remembers. Oh, yeah. I mean, who's behind 9/11? You know. If you know, you know. It's time. It is so time to peel back the layers of this onion. It is so overdue. Seth Rich would be interesting. Yeah, it's crucial. Who framed Snowden? Or actually Snowden, Julian Assange. Let's figure that out. Yeah, she is such a fraud. Now, I don't think, Kenneth, I don't think she was a bartender. We're thinking of AOC there. I don't think she was a bartender. I mean, could have been. I don't know. No, I don't think that was the guy that had the Viking outfit on J6. Although that guy, I mean, you know. Anyway. Jasmine Crockett, everybody. Jasmine Crockett. Ted Cruz saying this is not normal.
Tend to submit an apology.
There we go.
The chair understands that the member does not intend to submit an apology to the body.
That is correct.
This is Maine Democrats censuring Representative Laura Libby and stripping her of voting rights in the Maine House because she defended women and girls.
The member will be in violation of House Rule 401, Part 11. The member will not be able to cast a vote or speak on the floor until the member has come back into compliance with House Rule 4.
This is Orwellian beyond belief. To keep men out of women's sports and women's locker rooms and women's restrooms. Today's Democrats, according to Ted Cruz, they hate democracy.
Has come back into compliance with House Rule 401, Part 11. The member may return to her seat.
This is so creepy and Orwellian. Hey, let's join ourselves in a prayer. A little bit of prayer is a good thing. President Trump's cabinet in prayer as they open their first meeting of Trump 47 from yesterday. Let's just listen to some good, set the tone for the day, shall we?
Say grace, and then we'll have our meeting, right? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let's pray. Father, we thank you for this awesome privilege, Father, to be in your presence. God, thank you that you've allowed us to see this day. The Bible says that your mercies are new every morning. And Father God, we give you the glory and the honor. Thank you, God, for President Trump, Father, for appointing us. Father God, thank you for anointing us to do this job. Father, we pray you will give the president, the vice president wisdom, Father God, as they lead. Father, I pray for all of my colleagues that are here around the table and in this room. Lord God, we pray that we would lead with a righteous clarity. Father God, that as we serve the people of this country in every prospective agency, every job that we have, Father, we would humble ourselves before you, and we would lead in the manner that you've called us to lead and to serve. Father, the Bible says that blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. Well, Father, we today honor you, and in your rightful place, Father, thank you for giving us this opportunity to restore faith in this country and be a blessing to the people of America. And Lord God, today in our meeting, we pray that you will be glorified in our conversation. In Jesus' name, amen.
Scott, that was a very good job you did.
There you go. Mike Lee said, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you support Doge? We reposted this classic scene with Rob Reiner, and I forget his name. This is from Spinal Tap. These go to 11. On a scale of 1 to 10, we go to 11. This happened yesterday, and I spent an hour talking with one of the former attorneys for Jeremy Brown, who has now been freed. The pardon but not freed list. There's still a few people who were given presidential pardons, and they're still being held hostage. So we're down to 4. Elias Costianes, Taylor Taranto, Edward Kelly, and Benjamin Martin, but Jeremy Brown has been freed. There's a lot of other details surrounding the case, but I'll give you more about that later. But yeah, another one has been released. Here's Kash Patel talking about what could possibly be holding up the release of the Epstein file.
Well, the Epstein Black Book, like on day one.
On day one, roll out the Black Book.
So will you work with me on this issue so we know who worked with Jeffrey Epstein in building these sex trafficking rings?
Absolutely, Senator. Child sex trafficking has no place in the United States of America, and I will do everything, if confirmed as FBI director, to make sure the American public knows the full weight of what happened in the past.
Well, the Epstein Black Book, like.
There you go. Brian Cates again. He says, I understand some people telling you over and over Obama's the evil mastermind behind all this. He's not smart enough to run anything. He's an illusion, a carefully protected Manchurian candidate. He has handlers, and he does what he's told. Always. Always has. They don't even hide it, really. It was always right out there in the open. There's Valerie Jarrett right there. Oh, they went after Roseanne when she made fun of Valerie Jarrett. Didn't they? Corrupt Mueller prosecutor Aaron Zelinsky altered FBI 302 documents to frame and convict George Papadopoulos. Why should he not be disbarred and prosecuted along with Comey? Oh, this list is going to be massive. Massive, people. Here's Mike Johnson talking about the budget.
We'll address the House Republicans this morning on the latest developments about how we may be getting close to a number on that. The problem is the Democrats have added something new and different that's never been part of this before. They are trying to add to the appropriations bill a demand that they want us to somehow limit the ability of the executive branch to do its job. They want to tie the hands of the president on what he is able to do with the expenditures in the executive branch. That's never been done before. House Republicans, as egregious as the actions were of the previous president, Joe Biden, as unconstitutional and outrageous as they were, we never proposed using the appropriations process to tie the president's hands. It'd be, I think, a gross separation of powers violation and a terrible precedent for Congress to engage in. So that's a non-starter for us, and the Democrats know that. And so it looks like they're in a posture right now that they're making individual appropriations bills almost impossible. We'll find out soon. Stay tuned. There's more discussion today to be had. But we are nearing, obviously, the March 14th deadline. And I'm really hopeful that they'll back off of those outrageous demands because it's unprecedented and I think probably unconstitutional.
Beware the Ides of March.
And it's not anything we'll be a part of. Thank you. Thank you.
Given where you are, would you support a CR right now?
Let me have it. I mean, right there, you see it. Get ready.
Bannon, he's calling it.
For a government shutdown. President Trump's government being shut down. Just get ready for it. What they're saying there is that, I'm sure on the appropriation side, what the Democrats are trying to do is this whole thing on the unitary theory of the executive. Another ideas have consequences. There's this stronger than a belief. I mean, it's one of the things that the Project 2025, CRA, Russ Vogt over at OMB, many of lawyers about the appropriations process, that the appropriations is a ceiling and that either through impoundment or rescissions, the executive branch has ability to hold back the funds or reprogram. And I'm sure that in code, that's what he's talking about. They want to have, the Democrats want to have wording in there that that's not going to happen, and you have the constitutional fight. Now, bottom line, though, that is a bigger and tougher fight. He just told you right there, you ain't getting any Democrat votes on this CR.
So there you go. Is the government going to shut down? Is that going to be part of the plan? Yeah, this is Jeremy Brown getting released from prison. Brown had his home raided by the FBI after he released an audio that exposed the agency for attempting to recruit him as an Oath Keepers informant prior to J6. Brown never went into the Capitol on J6. The corrupt prosecutors secured a search warrant for his home over misdemeanor trespassing allegations. The warrant was signed by a magistrate judge that was not located in Florida. If you ask any lawyer or prosecutor, they'll tell you this is unheard of. Brown was targeted for exposing the government. This is our interview with Jeremy Brown. Jeremy Brown's girlfriend, Tylene Aldridge, at the time. I am not entirely certain if they're together at the moment. But during this interview, he called her to say that he was cuffed and taken back to his cell instead of being released. Yeah. So there you go. Check that out. I think that's where I'm going to leave it for today. Will Rachel Maddow be purged from MSNBC? Her staff is being purged allegedly after blasting the network for canceling Joy Reid's show. There you go. We will wrap it up on that point. I'm still waiting for these. I'm waiting to hear the Epstein list being released. It's not lousy Smarch weather. It's lousy February weather. 55. Anyway, thank you for being a part of today's show. I appreciate each and every one of you participating. Hit like and hit subscribe however you're watching. If you're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, if it gives you a thumbs up or a heart button, go tap, 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 tap. Hit a bunch of those. If you're watching on Rumble, you can do super chats. That's cool. You can gift us over there. The New American Media has pages on Facebook, Instagram, Truth Social, Rumble, and YouTube. So subscribe to those. Subscribe to our The Agree to Disagree Show podcast. That is there with Spotify and iTunes. So get our podcast, The Agree to Disagree Show. Patreon.com/The New American Media if you'd like to donate. PayPal at Fuzz Installment. Venmo at Brian Engelman. Cash App $ Brian Engelman. Our X feed is at American_media_. And where else? I don't know where else. Oh, Telegram and Truth Social, Telegram and Signal. We are TNAM and TNAM Chat. We are TNAM and TNAM Chat. So please follow us in those places. We're going to sign out for now. And I don't know, are we going to come back and do a special episode during the Epstein release? I don't know. I did a very extra long show today, having fun. I like unpacking the news. I like talking to you guys. I like going on rants. I like showing context and you guys like, hey, what about this? I'll pull something up. Yeah, it's fun. But yeah, no Epstein list yet. We'll be back when it is. And just check out our archive, 1,700 videos on YouTube. We're trying to build our Rumble account if you want to share that with some of your friends. And yeah, we'll be back tomorrow morning. Or for another show in a little bit. I think we should have a special guest tomorrow. I believe we have Adam Kokesh scheduled at 5 p.m. Eastern. We're going to talk about the homeless situation. Adam and I went to the City Hall of Los Angeles City Hall. Yeah, the steps of City Hall in Los Angeles, talking about the homeless situation. And it's gotten much worse since. And then just kind of catch up with Adam. Haven't really talked with him in a while. But we are going to try to be booking other special guests. Stay tuned as those are confirmed, and we'll deliver them to you on the Agree to Disagree show. All right. So signing out on behalf of the TNAM universe. I appreciate you. I love you. And we'll talk.